What's going on, everybody? Hope you're doing well. Welcome to another episode of Heavy Metallurgy. This is Marty here, and my new co-host, Charmander or Charizard or whatever the hell he's called, Charizard. How you doing,
Hey,
Al?
I got to tell you, this whole Halloween thing is getting pretty hard.
God.
Yeah, we're in for a long one.
We're in for one of those. What is going on with the buttons here? What am I doing? Here we go.
I do not know. I can't hardly see for my mighty snout. So
Their mighty snout. That's what they call it these days. All right, cool. Hope you're all doing well. Welcome to another episode. We're on number 234 of Heavy Metallurgy. Another Friday. Hope you've had a great week. It's Halloween. Happy Halloween. Hope it's been great. We had 4 trick-or-treaters here, which I guess the spoils of all that is we get to keep the candy, right? 3 bags of candy.
Yeah, about that.
we went to handing out tonight.
So I had a basket of candies, and I told these kids, you just grab like 3 each or whatever. That was kind of my system. And every time they always skipped the nerds. They went for the chocolate.
Oh, I love the nerds.
They went for the good stuff. So I'm gonna be stuck with a bunch of these. So
nerds are great.
I could send you the box of nerds if you want. Like I just the kids don't want them. This stuff is like candy glitter. If you spill any of it, it's just gonna be everywhere.
Yep.
Sucks.
Well, Rick, thank you again for joining us. It's been a minute. It's good to see you as always. Yeah. What's been going on in the land of Dreadful? You've got a very busy week. The last week you've been popping some videos. This week as well, and more streams coming up.
It makes up for the big gap when I do nothing.
True. Yeah. What you got coming up? Tomorrow night's another big extravaganza over on the Dreadful Minutes.
Another stream. It's kind of Halloween, spooky related stuff, but it's cool to be here Friday night with you guys. It's always fun. I always appreciate the invite. It's always a fun time. Cool topics. I wanted to do a salute first. So I picked up this Yards IPA raccoon trash talk. I could have done the cliche thing, do like the pumpkin beer, and all that stuff. But the reason for this was because I went to a friend's house not too long ago, and on my way there, I kept running into these like raccoon carcasses, and I'm like, why are these dead raccoons everywhere? It's just like I like raccoons; they're kind of cool. They can be cute.
Trash bandits.
They're trash bandits. Mm-hmm. The thing about when I saw this, I'm like, you know what? This describes raccoons perfectly because they think they're tougher than they really are. Hence all the road carcasses, and I come to the realization they're not quite honey badgers. Like
they're pretty mean. They can be mean. Have you ever heard them fight? They sound like little demons. Yeah,
but they're not as mean as honey badgers. They think they're honey badgers. They're not as rugged as honey badgers. They want to be, but they're not. That's why they become roadkill. But to all the dead raccoons on the road, so it's a salute, and this is my morning to them. Weird way to start a stream.
Looking really quick. Oh, I heard a rumor that raccoons were related to bears, and I just looked it up on the old internet, and it says raccoons and bears are not closely related. They belong to different families within the order of Carnivora. So there you go. You learn something new on Heavy Metallurgy every single week. Yep. So,
and that name's highly ironic because bears are not strictly carnivores, which is why you should never name a taxonomic unit after their diet.
No animal says screw you than platypuses. Like we don't belong to anything.
Oh man, have you guys ever seen a platypus skeleton?
No.
I know that's a weird question. They are the most effed up looking skeleton you will ever see. I mean, seriously, they look like an H.R. Geiger creation.
Really?
The skull is just alien looking because
it's like AI created it.
Like, no, I mean, I've seen it in person at museums because I was walking past it with one of the other curators. I literally stopped and looked. He's just like, "Yeah, you don't know what that is, do you?" I'm just like, "I have no idea." He's like, "Go check it out," and I did. I'm just like, "That's a freaking platypus skeleton." He's just like, "Yeah." He's like, "Enjoy your nightmares."
It could pass for a Pokemon. When you look at that thing, it just has that look. Like a duck mated with a beaver.
Pretty much, yeah. But the skull looks like a demon, basically like fist banged the critter from Aliens or something. It's messed up. I'm telling you.
Really weird.
Everybody's on the computer. Open another tab. Go Google it. Platypus skeleton skull. You won't sleep well tonight.
Can't
It's
watch
Halloween,
Metallurgy.
so-
Researching platypus.
Skeleton skull. Huh.
It's weird looking.
Let me see if I can pull it up real quick. So everybody, that all inquiring minds, share screen. Sorry, folks.
Less than 5 minutes. We've already gotten this far
Oh,
off.
we've offended Simon already. Yep.
Yeah, that's
Look
pretty
at
cool.
Look at this thing's mouth. It's like the Predator meets, Donald Duck or something.
Jesus.
Yeah. Like you wouldn't think about that whole bill beak structure having bone in it, but there you go.
It looks
Why
so
are we
cute.
Wait, why are we using goats on metal covers? We should be platypus skulls. I mean,
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah. Goats aren't evil. That thing, that's just downright demonic.
Huh. Well, that's neat. We never would have thought that. How do I get rid of that? Hold on. This it turns off.
Oh,
There
you
we
don't.
go.
It'll live in the back of your mind forever. Now that you've seen it, you can't unsee it.
I'd be a little more scared of it if it was like the size of a Prius. Then it'd be a little different. I'd be a little more nervous about it, I think, at that point.
everybody's like, we're being tricked into being educated. What's going on here?
Yeah. Now for Ellen's talk about rocks. Let's talk about rocks for 3 hours.
We now return you to Animal Kingdom. Dun, 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 dun. Join us as we explore the rainforest or some
Which one of
platypus
Omaha?
don't live in a rainforest. Anyway,
Well, it's Friday, and yeah, we're a little loose tonight, laid back, and tonight we are talking about blind buys. And the trick is you buy something and you don't like it, you got tricked. The treat is you blind buy something and you love it. That was Alan's whole theme for this. Is there anything else I'm missing in this, Alan, or no?
no, just it's something we have brought up many a time, just casually with other topics when we've blind bought something or not. And I mean, yeah, sometimes you just kind of go on instinct. The cover looks interesting, the title sounds cool, the logo looks awesome. You have no idea what the band is like, or maybe you've heard the name but you never checked out the music, and you just feel like, what the heck? Let's roll the dice and give it a chance. Sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. But it's something that I think changes over time too. Pre-internet, blind buys felt like they were a lot more necessary because the only chance you had to find stuff was in the wild, and if you stumbled upon something interesting looking, if you didn't buy it, it could be a very long time before you ever had another chance to hear it. But as the internet fired up and eBay and then Discogs and all of that, now you don't really have to blind buy if you don't want to. You can stand there and play half the album in the record store before you decide whether to pay for it or not. So have y'all kind of changed your take on blind buying over time? Do you still do it a lot? Do you
it's like
pass on it more?
It's the opposite, right? It's like you buy the thing and then you find yourself researching it afterward, instead of researching it first and then buying it. It's like usually at the record stores, or if they're running some special sale, I'll just throw a bunch of stuff in the cart. I've done this with international stores where, like, to make the shipping worth it, I'm like, all right, that cover looks cool, whatever. This is why covers are important. Like, buy so many things. For this particular episode, I kind of struggled just a bit because anything I really didn't like, I already got rid of, so there's probably more hits than misses in this pile due to that. I don't know if you guys are in that same kind of boat.
Yeah, I'm going to have to show some of my, I tried to pick an equal number of tricks and treats, but some of the tricks are going to have to be shown on the phone because, yeah, I tricked somebody else into taking those off my hands.
Yeah, for me, I haven't changed, to be completely honest with you. I really much appreciate those times where if you bought something that really sucked, you broke the tape and you took it back and say, this tape is broken. I don't want something different. And I just, I would say a good 96 to 8% of my buys are blind buys. Obviously, there's some educated guesses here in my pile. But I just, if you sit there in the store and you listen to half the album, it takes away the fun of buying the record. I feel like that you pull the curtain back and it isn't a giant head talking evil. It's a little guy pushing like in the Land of Oz. It's I want that moment where I bought this on cassette with my money, the only money I had for that week, and got it in my vehicle, threw it in. I've never heard of Holy Terror. It was just my internet was this. It was on Road Racer Records. I'm like, most of the stuff I buy on Road Racer Records is killer. So bought this on cassette, threw it in the vehicle tape deck, sat there for a minute behind the Sears, and every hair in the back of my neck stood up. I'm like, holy shit, this is amazing. And I'm still chasing that hope that whatever I get or buy is going to trigger that response, that serotonin dump. It just does it happen as much these days? It doesn't. Obviously, I'm a 54-year-old man. I've heard a lot, heard it all, blah, 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 blah. But I still prefer this to have that one joy. Part of the joy is getting it delivered to your front door, opening up the door. Oh, I have mail. Yay. And then opening it up and looking at it and then putting it on and getting, if you listen to it beforehand, it takes it away. The stuff that I do here is the stuff we review for the channel. I'm doing, if I'm not reviewing it, I'm editing other people's stuff. So I get to hear the promos as I'm cutting them up and editing them. So that has inspired me to buy some stuff as well that I probably wouldn't have checked out otherwise. So there is good in previewing. There is, but yeah, I'm still a sucker for the blind buy. I prefer it.
Yeah, you made a good point with the label thing. Sometimes the label's reputation, especially if they're consistently good, more often than not, it's going to be something good. Like usually if I see something coming out of $20 spin or something like that, I'm like, but sometimes even the labels have a sound. They have a certain kind of bands that they sign. So you kind of know what you're getting, more or less.
Yep. Yeah, I've kind of migrated away from it more and more over time. Part of it just, yes, it's great when you hit with a blind buy, but it also kind of stinks when you miss with a blind buy. And over time, I've been stung enough times that it's like, it's it can be a pain. And again, it's just not really a need to do it so much anymore. Now, when I will do it, it's kind of like what Frosty just said in the chat a minute ago. If it's like in a used bin, super cheap for $5, sure, okay, take my $5 and I'll take my chance. But for like new releases or things that are a little more pricey, it's like if I'm that interested, I can spend a few tracks or something. I'm not going to stand there and listen to half the album, but maybe skip through a few tracks just to make sure it's something that seems appealing and not going to be a complete waste of time and money. And part of that too is just in general, I'm kind of risk averse when it comes to spending money most of the time. I'd rather just hold on to it for something I know I'm really going to enjoy, something that I've been looking for, rather than just being like, let's, grabbing something else that maybe works, maybe doesn't. And I think your point is good too, Marty. As we get older, it is harder to make the hits work with blind buys because there's more stuff that you've probably just heard it or know enough about it to already figure out if you're going to like it or not. And so the stuff that really is completely unknown to you, it's probably unknown to you for a reason. It's like, he thinks this might be metalcore or deathcore or something that ends in core. So yeah, no reason to blind buy that. So, it's fewer and fewer where you really see something like, hey, here's a vintage 80s, looks like thrash, but I've never, ever heard of it. If you find something like that, yeah, maybe that's the time to take a chance. But it is hard to come across those anymore when you've, been buying the stuff for 30 plus years like we all have.
Like that first Death record.
Yeah. It's one of those things too that, music these days, I'm not going to sit here and bash on our music. I love metal. Don't get me wrong here, folks. But there's a lot of bands there's not a lot of bands that suck. anymore. There's no, either you don't like the style maybe that they're playing is one thing, but at least there's a lot of bands that are good enough. You know what I mean? They're good enough. So there's like that middle of road thing, that middle of the road factor. You buy something, it's good enough to keep maybe, but it's not good enough to spin repeatedly.
Yeah.
So it gets slid into the void of your collection, and there it sits, and it doesn't suck enough to get rid of it, but it doesn't excite you enough to want to have tons of spins on it. So I mean, isn't that kind of the same as buying a trick essentially?
I more and more I would agree that that is kind of on the trick side of things, just because like you said, once here and there it's not a big deal, but when it happens, for years and years at a time, that stuff really does add up. And it's just like a lot of, well, that's very okay. It's another one that's just, it's okay. Like you said, it doesn't suck, but if he gets played once every 5 years, that's probably the best you could hope for. So yeah, hard to consider those, treats.
I could listen to this, but I know a version of this that's better than this. I'm just going to listen to that.
Very good point, Rick. Yeah, especially for a lot of the stuff that is kind of like, well, yeah, it's sounds a lot like several other thrash bands or several other old school death metal bands. But what stands out about this one? Well, not a lot. Darn, if I still had those $16, I might have picked up something that was that I kind of knew was going to be really strong, instead of finding something that was rather mid.
Yeah.
But again, the point shouldn't be lost. Several folks in the chat have said it and agree with you, Marty. The thrill of that kind of chase, and when you do find something that's just out of the blue and really strikes a chord with you, that's always really awesome and fun for sure.
The thrill of the hunt is very much a part of music appreciation. At least it is to me, and collecting. I think the thrill of the hunt is a big part of it. Amassing stuff, having a collection, a library to choose from. You want the shit to rule, you do, but it doesn't always rule. But if you took away the thrill of the hunt, it would. I don't know if I think the music industry would be in even worse shape than it is now.
Yeah.
But well, shit. We're yapping here. Let's show some records. So Rick,
all right,
take the lead. Take charge here.
All right. So here's a CD. I know the artist, of course, but I never checked out the solo material, and so I'm looking at this. I feel like the approach to this is the same way when we look at these Bruce Dickinson solo albums. It's kind of like, like some of us maybe diehards, others are like lukewarm about it. But rest in peace, Warrell Dane. And this is one of his earlier solo albums, which I think was 2007, 2008, something like that when it came out. Praises to the War Machine, which what sucks about it is there was another album that came out after he passed, and so I feel like if you listen to this first, it may not be the strongest sell for all you Nevermore fans, and that's why I brought up the Bruce Dickinson thing. Is this going to sound like, like the bigger main band, right? The sell is because of the name, and so I kind of put it in, and I didn't even know he had solo material. I saw this at the record store, and I'm like, huh. I knew not to expect Nevermore because Loomis is not in it. These guys are not in it. Sure enough, I think it's got the Agent Steel guys. I think it's got like two of the members in here. So you kind of would expect something kind of in that direction. But this is very much a bit of a watered down experience for what you'd expect from something if you're used to something a little more power, with a lot more metal leanings like Nevermore. This kind of treads more on the hard rock side of things. It's still got its metal moments, but it kind of seesaws quite a bit between kind of that hard rock and it's got some cool leads, and there are some pretty heavy moments. The Creature of My Reflections, a good one. It starts sounding out a little bit like gothic metal, a little bit, oddly enough. But my issue with this was that and I realized this when Loomis is playing, he has a very emotive way of getting you in. Those Nevermore albums really had a way to put that feeling in you, which I didn't get here. Worrell's vocal work is just as good as always, on this thing, but it kind of made you realize how much of that unit as a band, how good they were with him kind of trying this out with this solo work. I kind of feel like we lost quite a lot with this. Now, if you're a diehard Worrell Dane fan and you do like his vocal work and stuff like that, I could see you enjoying this, but don't expect anything on the, as satisfactory as what those Nevermore albums were. It just kind of reminds me of the later era Queensryche stuff. Maybe a little Lynch Mob kind of thrown in there. It's kind of something along those lines. But I mean, I'm keeping it, I think, also out of just something in the collection, because I know we're not getting any more Worrell material and whatnot. Got the Nevermore stuff. But this was a interesting listen, but it's very much that early 2000s modern metal kind of sound and production. So I don't know if you guys ever dove into Worrell Dane.
I've heard that one, but yeah, it didn't make a big impression. I think what you described there, Rick, is something that happens with a lot of solo albums, that they feel like that's their chance to try out something different. And as such,
what is happening? Sorry, everybody.
Your background is taken over. But yeah, the solo artist feels like, well, hey, here's my chance to kind of step outside the Nevermore box and do something a little different, and someone like Worrell that was a fan of more classic stuff. It makes sense that he'd want to try his hand at something that maybe was a little more in a hard rock vein. So that can be fun to check out and interesting, but a lot of times for me, it just doesn't really make that big of an impression. It's
I felt the same way with.
I've heard you do your blues thing. Now back to our regularly scheduled band.
Because you don't know what you're getting. Like, are you getting something similar to the main band? Or are you getting? I felt like that way about the Sebastian Bach stuff. Like, is it going to sound like Skid Row? And often not, it's really hit or miss.
Yep.
Warhammer 666 shared a comment that I thought was something that would be a little better to talk about here. I think there's more attachment to a blind you discover instead of being recommended it. This is, for me, very, very true, and it's a very astute thing to ponder, because I know the things that I have all day long. People say, "Oh, Marty, you need to check this out, check that out." Ask Ben, Brain Smasher, friend of mine. He always, dude, check this out. He'll send me a link. I never listen to it. I'm sorry. I want to. I'm like, yeah, I'll circle back around to that. Never happens, because I want to find it. As stupid as that is, as stupid and childlike as that is, if I were to go in and find it, then yeah, I want to tell all you folks how cool this is. So I'm such a dumbass when it comes to that whole mindset. I don't know what it is, but Warhammer, I think, nailed it. If we find it on our own, it means like, I found this, I connected this, I unearthed this, I'm connecting to this, and it has more impact. 100%.
Oh yeah, I think sure, because it's like your discovery. You did it on your own. I know, I get that for sure.
Sometimes I don't want to be. The part of the hunt is not being spoon fed your prey. You want to get it yourself. And so anyway,
but people get excited. They want you to know about the said band.
Right? Exactly.
Drag you in.
All right, good start. And Alan.
All right. Charizard's trying to figure out this weird coffee imperial stout.
It looks like it's in like a brown bag there, like
it's a brown label, and that's got a coffee kind of thing to it. So I'm not sure what to make of that.
Good luck sleeping tonight, Charizard.
I sleep with one eye open.
You know what really would have been hilarious on that outfit if you would have put battle or like band patches all over it.
I really wanted to find like a shiny Charizard costume, because that's black, and then with the hoodie, I would look like total cult right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And for
Black
your
Pokemon Metal Cult.
and for your Charizard, your next Charizard Halloween outfit, don't forget everybody, the Heavy Metallurgy patches are available in the web shop. Go check it out. See how we did that there? That was pretty clever. Anyway,
That can be Charizard's next evolution when they do like Legend ZA just came out, so we can do Mega Charizard Z, which Heavy Metallurgy doesn't have a Z in it, but yeah, details.
yeah.
It could be a silent Z.
All right. First, like I said, I want to kind of go back and forth tonight between a trick and a treat, but I want to start with the treats. And yeah, this was one that I knew nothing about the band, never heard of them, never seen it before, but found it used at a record show. And the logo, the band logo, is what convinced me to shell out a whopping $3 as a teenager to buy it. It is this album, Holy
All the love for Holy Terror
and Submission. Yep. But yeah, I had never heard of this band, didn't know a thing about them. It was just flipping through a box and saw it. And again, it was the logo that made me stop and look at it. I'm just like, the hell does that say? And I had to sit there and kind of piece it together for a minute. It's just like, okay, eventually, took a moment, but I was like, okay, Holy Terror. I'm just like, I don't know, but that is a really cool logo. It's one.
Did you think it was Christian though? Because it's got the word holy, it's got the cross.
The funny thing about the cross, I mean, obviously, cross, demon-y, serpent thing. The thing that stood out to me more about the image, looking at it, was that I figured they're doing a religious thing, but I also thought they were doing it as like a capitalism thing, because it also looks very much like a dollar sign with this way creatures wrapped around it. So I'm like, so it's got an evil thing and it's got a money thing. And it was, one of the first times I'd seen this kind of like really, what do they call it? Like anthropomorphized type logos where all the letters are like made out of animal parts and stuff. And I was just like, I have no idea what in the world that's going to sound like, but for $3, I am. Again, this is like early 90s. There's, a record show maybe every 4 months or so I could go to. You see it, you better buy it because it won't come back around next time. So I did. And of course, this worked out fantastic. This was a real treat. Loved the album to death. I still prefer it over Mind Wars. I understand the draw of Mind Wars. It's a great album too. It's a little different. Why not both? Why not both? Both the albums are killer. But so yes, this was the essence of Blind by. Teenager, very strapped for cash. Still took a chance on it, and geez, I guess I've had this for over 30 years now and still think very highly of it.
Rule.
Played it in the past couple of months and was still just like, man, this is so good. So perfect example of a blind buy going right. So score 1 for the treats.
Perfect example of a band that ended at the right time, because if they would have continued, chances are it would have been bad.
You're not the first person I've heard say that. In a way, they didn't stick around long enough to mess anything up. It's hard. You never know for sure. But how would a band like that have possibly survived or morphed in the early 90s? Could have been pretty ugly.
And how do you follow up an album like Mind Wars? It's just a speed class and hard.
You do what Corner did. You go total groove.
That's exactly what I'm worried about.
Yep.
And they're in Seattle. They're in the Seattle area too for a while there. So it's like, could have been disastrous. Anyway. So this album just arrived yesterday. And honestly, this is low hanging fruit for blind buys. Obviously, there's why I didn't already own this. I don't know, but I pulled the trigger on Hansen and Friends with 30. 3 decades in metal. This is Kai Hansen's first from Halloween. Kai Hansen.
Oh, that Hansen. I thought you meant the child boy.
This is the Mbop remix. It's on 2 LPs. It's been done by.
Okay. I was really wondering where the heck. I'm like, you sure this isn't one of the tricks?
Yep. This is his debut solo album that came out in 2016. So how did I miss this? I don't know. I always saw this and thought it was the Live at Wacken thing that he did, which I watched on YouTube. So whatever. But so I spun this last night. I haven't heard a single note on this entire thing. obviously Kai Hansen. We all know, Gamma Ray. We all know Halloween. We all know what he's capable of. But the hype sticker right there basically says he's exploring his youth, and so I anticipate a lot more rock on here. Really, there's only one song on here. Enemies of Fun, the second track on the album. Born Free is not the greatest. It's kind of a rock song. Enemies of Fun, very repetitious. But man, the rest of the album is really good. Side B, Making Headlines, Stranger in Time, and Fire and Ice. Wow, what a three great songs right in a row. This is really well written. Yes, it leans a little bit more into the hard rock side, which is kind of what the first Unisonic album was a bit more AOR, I guess. This is just a little bit more hard rock, but this is filled with guest appearances. You got Ralph Sheepers and Pete Salick or whatever from Iron Savior.
Iron Savior.
Dee Snider sings on here. Tobias Sammet from Avantasia's on here. Michael Kiska, Roland Grapphow's on here. Michael Lyketh plays some stuff on here. It's like a smorgasbord of people from his past all kind of coming together and decorating his songs. And dude, I'm surprised. This thing, I figured it would be a lot of this sort of repetitive rock. Couple songs like that for sure, but man, by the time you hit side B, the album gets really freaking good. It's really well written. He's really a great songwriter. So I really didn't know what to expect, but kind of did. So I mean, this was a pretty safe layup, a blind buy, but
if I was blind buying that though, and I saw like the 3 X's on the cover, I'm thinking like Steel Panther, something along those lines. Like,
well, it was a complete impulse thing too, because it was like leaning close to $40. It was sealed, brand new, double LP. I had a good job here a couple weeks ago. I'm still kind of like, woohoo, some mad money, until of course my van took a shit. So then that cost $1,700. That kind of figured into the whole, what the hell am I buying this shit for? But yeah, I mean, check out that Hansen record. It is surprising, a lot better than I thought. And it's not.
I can't get over the phrase, check out that Hansen record.
Yeah.
That Kai Hansen record, I should say.
Thank you. Good.
Thank you. All right. I'll be back in a minute, guys. You're going to have to excuse me, but Charizard can't handle this coffee beer. I got to go get something else. I'm tapping out on this one because this is doing things to my mouth.
No.
Be right back.
This is what she said. Anyway, Rick.
I think shards are like mogwais. There's a certain diet you got to, kind of adhere to. Otherwise,
it's okay. It's not after midnight, so we're safe.
All right. I think this is more of a trick, and this is one of these examples where and I did no research, and I didn't find out after I bought it about the particular issue with this particular. It is more about the physical pressing. So again, it's a trick. So this is Fear of God, Within the Veil. We all know.
You sent me a copy of that. Yeah.
I might have. You remember when this came out? It was, it made a lot of noise because Music on Vinyl put out a lot of good stuff. So to give people some context, this was like 2020. The world was on lockdown. Getting out and I guess being involved with the world, interacting was not a thing. So we all kind of just stuck to our homes and ordered in and whatnot. And this was one of the albums that I picked up. I'm like, wow, because I knew about the detente stuff, but this is one album that I completely skipped over, looked over the years, and didn't know a whole lot about. But if you know the detente stuff, I was like, all right, it's probably something more adjacent to that kind of thing. It's a little more it doesn't have moments of as much thrashiness as the detente stuff did. There's more exploration. There's even more emotive moments with this, but Dawn's still pretty vicious. I mean, there's no doubt about that. So what happened was Music on Vinyl put this out, and right away there were complaints flooding in about the songs sounding like demos. And those who have listened to the demos, especially at the time when the detente stuff sounded, we're doing this is again, they were still in the detente phase. We're doing some of the songs here, and for some reason or another, they got pressed onto this. It was released as the official songs, the official studio tracks, which it wasn't. So the problem was Music on Vinyl did not respond at all. They made a faux pas, a huge one, put this out there, and people wanted answers as to what happened to the tracks that were supposed to be how they remembered it. So they were a little rough. So, and which one you have based on the color. So about a year later, they released the correct version of this, and that it's the silver vinyl. So if you run into this album and you want the correct one, don't get the green one. You're going to end up.
Is that the one you sent me? Did you send me the bad one?
I sent you the bad. No, I sent you the collector's edition.
Oh yeah. I have the tape. I had the tape when it came out, so it's killer to have.
It's fun to compare, what's here and versus what ended up. But Music on Vinyl never admitted to the mistake. They never openly. They just kind of quietly just released the correct one, and then there's different color. They kind of kick you in the balls about to remind you.
That's a way to get the collectors inspired to buy the other. Oh, I got to have that other color. Chances are you're going to sell just as many anyway. So
there's been discussion. I've seen the forums. People have been discussing this about whether this was an orchestrated thing. I think it had a lot to do with just the world was, in the pandemic and all this stuff was going on, and people were not in the right heads. And somehow, a few QC checks later, things got checked off the box that shouldn't have. This somehow got released. No one really did double check whether these were the correct version of the tracks. And so people ended up with official release that ended up being demos. But I would say, yeah, again, it all depends on what you're after. But if you like the novelty of the mishap, get the green. But if you want the real one, get the silver. But this is more of a trick than a treat when it came to that. It still sounds good. It's just but it's just no, they're not the official thing, But great band. I wish they were still around, but they were never quite as strong as this on their follow up. And by then, Dawn passed away, so it was just kind of sucked all around.
Yeah.
But yeah,
easy.
Trick or treat. This was a trick.
Curse you.
That beer was a trick too. We're doing better now.
Did you give it to Mel? Say, here, drink this.
Yeah, no, I could say that was a blind buy that went bad, but it was gifted to me, so no harm done. Didn't hurt to try it. Don't know until you try. Now I know that one just doesn't work. All right, I showed a treat last time. Let's go with a trick this time. Now, I had heard other stuff by this band, but I had never heard a note of this particular album. Was curious. I was like, sure, let's give it a try. So, Black Flag's My War. This album didn't work out well for me. Some people like this era of Black Flag. Some people really don't like it. I figured I would give it a chance. I tend to like the earliest Black Flag stuff the most. When they had Keith in the band and all. The later stuff I've heard tends to be less interesting, but this is kind of in the middle of the discography. This is the first thing they put out after that, long hiatus dealing with some, legal issues. I spun this a couple times. I've given it a fair chance, and I did figure out why I don't like it. There's a couple of things going on here that just don't work for me. On this album, they're starting to write longer, what you would think of as like full-length songs. More of the songs are in that 4-minute mark. Your days of the 90-second song are over. But the songs are still structured like 90-minute hardcore songs. They just go on for 4 minutes. And that means you're repeating the same thing instead of just once, twice, and you're done. You're repeating the same thing 6 or 7 or 8 times to fill out the 4-minute runtime. And that doesn't work well. That just doesn't work well at all. It really made me appreciate why hardcore songs have the most impact when they are short, because you just, you do it once, it hits hard, and that's it. But if you keep repeating it for another 3.5 minutes, it loses all that impact. Second thing that's a problem with this is, by this point, again, the band was trying to kind of feel out their ZZ Top and Black Sabbath adorations, Greg Ginn is not a good lead guitar player. I know a lot of people like
Some
his
would
playing.
disagree with you there, but I'm kind of, his style is so fucking wackadoo. It's, I don't know.
Yeah, but it's wackadoo, amateur, never quite figured out how to make it work. I don't mind him as a rhythm player. He can come up, with a decent riff and an idea. But when he steps up to play the lead, especially considering how much this band, they're legendary for how much they practiced and jammed on these songs. And then you hear him try to play the lead, and it's just like, that's barely held together. It's like chewing gum and barbed wire holding that thing together. I am not impressed. And it's not just this album, other albums, from this era where I've heard him solo. It's just like, oh God, here comes another Greg solo. I do not like his solo work. The leads, and because the songs are longer, they all have to have a solo, which really bogs it down. The thing that's interesting on the album, it's not a total lost cause. The last 3 songs, they really lean into the slower stuff. The first 6 songs on here really are just 4-minute punk rock songs that don't really gel for me. But the last 3, Nothing Left Inside, 3 Nights, and Scream. Here they're even longer, but they really do channel their inner Black Sabbath a lot more. Although I wonder, especially with Greg's guitar style, I think St. Vitus is a better comparison than Sabbath. I know Greg wanted to be Tony Iommi. Greg, you're not Tony Iommi. It's not me, buddy. It's you. But because of his weird style, it does bear some resemblances to what Dave Chandler did with St. Vitus. A little more, into like, the feedback and, just, the wah-wah kind of stuff. Those songs are at least kind of interesting. They're not fantastic. It's not enough to salvage the album, but it at least is, a step up from the first 6 tracks on it. So yeah, at the end of the day, gave it a chance. I never heard any of the album before, but yeah, this probably goes in the VCLT pile at some point. I don't like it enough to keep it around, to be honest. So other Black Flag stuff, Damaged and Backwards, I tend to like. The stuff I've heard after Damage. Yeah, Damage would be counted as part of that. Damaged and everything behind it, cool. But the stuff that came after Damage, I haven't really found anything that works great for me at this point. So Black Flag's My War has to be counted as a trick.
When these bands change their sound, sometimes I feel like TSOL went that direction, where like it started funky and then they moved into this other style, and we're like, you ain't gonna splinter. I think that's kind of what happened.
They did. I feel like TSOL though did it better. I mean, they went into almost like a gothic style there for a while with like weathered statues, and their take on it wasn't too bad. Yes, Dance With Me and stuff is better, but I don't mind some of the later TSOL stuff I've heard. The Black Flag, again, sure, they can change their sound. There's nothing wrong with that. But again, having a hardcore song where you just, like the worst offender on here is Swinging Man. It's like 3.5 minutes of Henry Rollins just repeating, I'm the swinging man. I'm hanging around. My feet never touch the ground because I'm still swinging because I'm the man. I'm the swinging man. I'm hanging around, swinging. My feet never touch the ground. For 4 fucking minutes. That's too much. Way too much. Way too much. It's 3 fucking lines. For 60 seconds, that might have been tolerable. For 4 minutes, I'm paying off karma because I, kicked a puppy in the 17th century or something.
I have a feeling that track did not create existential moments for you.
That track, and they're trying to do this very odd sort of jazzy beat behind it too, and they're just barely pulling it off. They're holding the beat, but you can tell it's not easy for them. And Raleigh's just repeating these 3 stupid, insipid lines. Sad Charizard. Marty, take it away. I've rambled enough.
Well, this is a trick, and it's not because of what it is. It's because I've listened to it once and I'm kind of done with it. But this is one of those albums or one of these releases that was in a record store that I was kind of surprised to see it there, and I wasn't finding much else, so I bought it. And this is the Shrine of the Pentagram Treblinka box set.
Oh.
So Treblinka is a Swedish band that ended up changing their name to Tiamat. I'm sure they changed it for the obvious reasons. But this is a 3 CD set. It basically has Sign of the Pentagram, Crawling and Vomits, Severe Abominations, demos. It's got rehearsals on it. It's got 1, 2, 3 live sets on it. Sumerian Cry, instrumental studio outtake. So I mean, here's like, you want to be a fly on the wall for, you know, pre-Tiamat, you know, bunch of kids rehearsing, banging it out in the. I listened to all 3 of these CDs, and I'm not gonna lie to you, it was a slog. It was a slog. You know, the demos themselves are pretty cool, dark, you know, kind of cult, evil, kind of death metal type stuff. But man, I didn't need these live sets. I didn't need the rehearsal. I didn't need the instrumental. I'm really rough with instrumental music anyway. So this is one of those things I listened to it once, and then I said, why in the hell did I buy this? So it isn't because it's a cool artifact for historic purposes, but do I really need that sitting on my shelf? I mean, if there were people in and out here all the time, you know, checking things out, or if I provided a library service for my community for death and black metal, maybe that would be interesting. But yeah, this is going in the a trade pile. So or maybe VCLT. We shall see. Again, it's me, not them, but still, it's one of those things I spent. It was priced pretty well, and I think if I'm remember, yeah, there's a book in here. It's CDs are falling out of it. That's always fun. Yeah, pretty cool little package. It's got like the history of and pictures and nice write up. It's a very well done package. It came out on Century Media, so I think this was before Century Media was marking everything like cost retail, like it's lined with gold. But yep, there it is.
That's if they even ship it to you.
Yeah. I'll never order from Century Media again. I've been fucked twice by them. Not happening. So, Rick.
Oh man. All right. Here's an album by a band I'll probably never own a vinyl, but this was kind of embarrassingly my entry point with this band. So go back to the year, I think it was 1996. I was still doing the 8 CDs, 10 CDs for a penny kind of thing. And so I was getting to death metal and you enjoy, again, as being artist minded. I'm very visual, and I love the vicious just appeal of what those Cannibal Corpse covers were, Obituary at the time, the Deicide albums. And then I see this. Malevolent Creations, Joe Black.
That thing sucks so bad. I gave that away. I hated that thing.
I ordered this, blind bought it, of course. And I'm thinking, what is it, like Helvetica font or whatever? And I'm like, are they doing something mysterious and cool like disembowelment? Like you just, it's deeper, but you can't just go by the cover, right? Like, so I got this, and I've never listened to Malevolent Creation. Pop the CD in. Who ordered Ministry with my death metal? It was was my thought, and it was not what I was expecting. Of course, I did not read the description. I added it in the pile with other things along the way, and I had to try again. But it took me about another 2 years or so before I went back and explored Malevolent Creation again, because I was so disappointed.
Yeah,
by this thing, and which makes sense why I'll probably never own this on vinyl. Everything else in the catalog, it's just like,
was that ever released on vinyl? I don't believe it was.
Actually, it has, and I actually seen it go for like clearance prices too, and I still said no.
That sucks.
But it's like when you listen to bands like Godflesh and shit like that was made. Those songs were written to be, electronic and industrial, and in that kind of way. These guys kind of did the opposite. They took songs and they remixed them and they tried to make them, I don't know, danceable or whatever. And I was definitely not in the right headspace for this. And I tried to listen to this again recently, and I was just like, You think Morbid Angel would have listened, checked in what these guys did, and paid attention and said, "No, we're not going to do a load of aluminum."
Maybe they heard it and it's like, hey, we can do that, but better.
This should have been the example. They did not listen.
They thought it was too radical.
Yeah. So never again. I don't know why I still have it, but it's just a block CD. So there's a lot of
have the tray. There's tray art to that too. You don't have the tray?
No, I lost it since then. I've had this since 1996. Like
Rick,
it's been in binders, it's been thrown around, and
Rick,
whatever.
right now, this is gonna be a first for you. I want you to take it out of the case right now. Take it out of the case. Work with me here. Take it out of the case. Take the artwork out of the CD case too.
The artwork too?
Yep. Take the artwork out. Okay. Now this is going to be hard. I want you to rip the booklet in half. Rip it in half. Rip it in half. Rip it in half. Throw it in the garbage. Throw in the garbage. There you go. Garbage. There it is. See? Freedom. You're free. Don't you feel better? No, isn't that Joe? There's one less Joe Black in the world. There you
know
go.
What I was thinking when you were telling me this? I'm like, is there anybody I hate enough to send this to?
Because you're kicking. That's a bad can to kick down the road. Because that sucks. That's really bad. Yeah. So there, it's gone. See, you can. There, first time, Rick. I broke 3 records on camera before. Yeah. There it is. Okay, now that that's out of the way, Alan.
I feel healed all of a sudden.
Don't. Be happy.
All right, let's see. Time for another another treat. This one
all the collector scum in the chat are going, no, what are you doing? He already lost the tray art, so it's utterly worthless.
Yeah.
It's already worthless. Just
don't do it, kids. Don't do it. It'll
never be listened to ever
just
again.
Say no.
Yep. Let's see. Siegel's been mentioning that, a lot of his blind buys are just like check the front cover, check the back cover, good enough, it's ready to roll. This one, the back cover would definitely, I guess, won out because the front cover didn't make me buy it, but I bought it anyway. Let's see. Yeah, folks will probably recognize it. So back cover, I'm like, okay, it's on Roadrunner. Cool band picture. It was only, again, this was another one. It was just a few bucks at a record show. So I decided to take a chance. I'd never heard of the band or anything. What do we got here? Somebody in the chat knows. There you go.
It's Whiplash.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely. This did not make me want to buy this album, though.
That record rules. I love that record.
It does. No, this was a total treat, but this is some serious Fisher Price kind of shit you got going on this cover right here.
It looks like something Primus would do. That's all.
It does have a Primus.
This is Les Claypool in it.
Yeah, this is more like some Weeble Wobble people, rocking it there. So, despite the cover, I still bought it. I mean, even the inner sleeve doesn't necessarily instill a ton of confidence. I just like, oh, is this going to be like State of Euphoria all over again? I hope I don't want these $3 back. But no, this album absolutely rules. It has its issues. A lot of people do not like the guitar tone on it. The production is weird on the guitar sound. But the songs are great. This is Whiplash in their prime. First 2 Whiplash albums, absolutely crush. I had never heard of them. I didn't know what the heck was up with this cover. I still don't really know what's up with this cover. But I do know this is an absolutely fantastic album. And again, Teenage Alan, I'm pretty sure. Let's see. This one, that's a generic $1 price tag on the sticker from some random record show in North Carolina. Good grief. Early mid 90s, so like high school, maybe I was just out of high school, maybe not.
Everybody was trying to get rid of records for free.
Vinyl wasn't popular anymore. Metal was kind of fading out of popularity. So you could find, there wasn't tons of this stuff at those record shows, to be clear. But if you dug around for a few hours, you could find a couple of things like a Holy Terror, a Lizzie Borden, an Iron Maiden, a Whiplash. You could come away with a handful of good stuff for like maybe $20 total. So worked out well on this one. Still, I know most people prefer Power and Pain. I prefer that one, but I'll readily admit a big chunk of that's just the nostalgia. First one I heard, blind bought it. Didn't get Power and Pain until several years later, so this one just had a really big head start in terms of my personal popularity. So yeah, there is a treat number 2, Whiplash's Ticket to Mayhem. Fantastic killer album. Next up will be another trick. I'll get that ready while Marty shows us something.
All right. Well, this isn't really a trick or a treat. It's just one of those, that nebulous realm where it doesn't suck, but it doesn't necessarily inspire, wanting to put it on. And it's one of those things, my sickness, and I think probably a lot of us here are the same way. When I'm in the blind, when I blind buy most of my music, and when I'm in the mood and I see something that looks kind of cool, it tickles my collector fancy a little bit, I'll go all in. And I went all in one go of a band I never heard of before called Ancient Empire on Storm Spell Records.
Was it pay week for you? When
Yeah, probably. I mean, usually when I go crazy and buy a lot of stuff, I had recently printed some shirts and made some decent money and make sure the bills are paid, then buy 5 or 6 CDs by a band I've never heard before. But yeah, this is Ancient Empire. This is The Tower. This was their new one at the time, Otherworld. Priest of Stygian. I don't know, Stygia. Yep. This is When Empires Fall. And this really isn't bad. This is Eternal Soldier. I'm thinking this looks power metal. This looks cheesy. This looks right up my alley. At the time, I was in a humongous power metal explosion. I felt like I had a good handle on all of the forefathers of the genre. I was trying to fill in the gaps and trying to learn more about some of this is sort of power metal, but also kind of just older heavy metal mixed. So there's this kind of like a level grade to all this music. It's really well done. It seems like, if I remember right, there's some like organ type stuff mixed in here, and it just very decent, but not very exciting. The dynamic shifts are not enough to really inspire having 5 albums by this band. Again, I listen to all these once or twice. It's hard to circle back to something that I've just got the meh about. So what buying the whole
Vault.
Discovery. Yeah, this is, dude, I tell you what, Metal Vault, Peter, when I'm collector scum, and you'd think my collection would be 50. Of course, I've given a lot of shit away over the years and sold some stuff, but when I'm all in on the buying the collector stuff, it's bad. I will stay up all night hunting for releases, and it's a sickness. Chasing fun, when life isn't fun, sometimes you have to chase it in other areas, and then hence 5 Ancient Empire. Again, check out Ancient Empire. Storm Spell's a great label. I enjoy the label a lot, and that's another reason why I felt a little more secure in buying it. But there's just kind of a ho-hum level to this. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe my power metal or metal thing that I was in was depleted by the time that these arrived, but they're on the shelf. They're on the shelf if I ever want to circle back around to them. So
Warhammer makes the point. Yeah, 20 years from now, you can show those off on cult power metal night, and everyone in the chat will lose their minds. Like, holy crap, you've got the entire Ancient Empire catalog. When are they going to reissue that stuff?
I'm missing one, and this is part of the sickness. I see that one on eBay or every once in a while. I'm like, I should pick that up. Why? Just because I got to have them all, right? You got to have them all. It's like that freaking Pokemon. They got to catch them all.
This
Pokemon.
I already caught you.
That artwork looks so much of its time, though. It's like it's the same way we look at that Whiplash album Alan just showed. It's like that kind of like, really? Yeah, it just has that.
That guy's like a dwarf or something. His torso and his arms are bigger than his legs. I don't know.
Very digital.
Very digital, yeah. And again, this band isn't bad. They're really not bad. Check them out, folks. I mean, I could be wrong here, but
I don't think you're wrong.
Yeah, it is what it is.
Yeah. And like you're saying, it's not that they're bad. They're just very average. They're okay, but that's
they're okay.
That's not good enough to get them off the shelf very often.
And have 5 of them, and then see another one, think, oh, I should buy that one too. Why? I've got 5 average CDs. Why would I add a 6th just to have the whole set? It's
okay,
stupid.
chat. I hear a man in pain crying out for an intervention. So chat, Discord, let's work with
y'all ain't the boss of me.
It's an all in or nothing kind of band, you know.
I'll do what I want.
Go all in or not.
Yeah.
Way to see the glass half full, Wade.
Right. See? Yep. All right. So there, I've said my. Now you had a little bit of insight into this collector scum on how he operates. I know there's another collector scum, gas masks and hand grenades. Jeff, if you're watching, you know he's a similar strain of sickness, for sure. But
yeah, Rick, here's a.
I could, but the only reason I won't is because I haven't listened to those, so I don't have an opinion.
I had him rip it up because there's no tray card. He's going to give not only a shitty album to somebody, but a shitty gift because it's not even a complete gift. Yep. Anyway.
Yeah, because with the tray card, that would have been a killer gift. That was the thing that was making or breaking that encounter.
I have thrown music away before. I've done it. I've done it multiple times.
Dude, I've been wanting this J-Bike forever. Thanks so much. Oh man, you left out the tray card. What the hell? Oh, bro.
Can you imagine being that band when you go into a record store and the blank tapes are worth more than your actual tape? I've seen it. Like 50-cent fucking band tapes or the $1 TDK tape. Like that's, blank. I'm like, fuck.
That's
if you could get it on a 99-cent used cassette tape, you could actually save a penny over buying a blank TDK.
You'd actually be better off buying the tape for 56 cents just for the case. For the fucking clamshell.
I may have done that. Sorry, Engelhard Humperdinck, but
who are you calling a dink? Anyway.
Something like that. All right. So this is an interesting one. I will okay, this has several strikes against it. It's actually not a bad album for the particular genre that it is. However, when I look at this, and you were perusing the record store, you could probably understand why this screams "Buy Me."
Well, yeah.
I mean, that cover is just—it's
pretty sick. That's pretty cool.
Looks metal as hell. It's called Oz. So the strike is this cover, which is not bad. It's got the Oz thing connection to it, and I'm like, all right, Oz is a metal known name. No, there's no Ozzy in this, of course. But it's called Oz 2, which is curious. Don't know what that's about. And so of course, I bought it. It was not a very bad price for what it is. So I'm like, all right. So if I don't like it, it's probably still worth keeping for the artwork. But it turns out it's not even metal. You think you're getting metal. They're doing the Axe thing. If you know that band. So you think you're getting metal. It's not. It's hard rock. The guitarist here, Greg Parker, really loves Jimi Hendrix. I hear a lot of Hendrix in this, all over the place. I like Hendrix, so it's like. So I guess it's one of those sincere flattery things or whatever. So being disappointed by that for it not being metal. Apparently, there's 3 iterations of this band. There's an Oz 3. Don't know what that's about. So. It's the saving grace with this album. It's got some jammy stuff, and whatnot. This came out in '84, so they already had an album before this. So I guess you can call it 1980, 81 when they started out. They're from Chicago, and there's a particular guy playing bass here. He goes by the name Craig Jones. This is Craig Detroit Jones. I guess a band from Chicago, but for some reason they felt compelled to write Craig Detroit Jones. So to remove that, I guess, Illinois connection. I don't know what that's about.
Well, it's probably had another friend that they knew named Craig Jones, and this guy's from Detroit, so they call him Detroit to separate the two. I mean,
yeah. So I'm looking through this, right? it turns out the Craig Jones is on this. It's actually Craig Gruber, the guy behind the first Rainbow album. He played an elf, so he's had connections with Dio. So he's got a metal background. He's played with the Rods, at one point.
Ah, okay.
So, he passed away in it's been 10 years now, 2015. So, so a couple of things go through my mind. I'm like, did he change his name to Craig Jones to make that distinction of I'm when I'm in hard rock mode, I'm Craig Jones. When I'm in metal mode, I'm Craig Gruber. So I don't know.
Just call me Detroit.
But it's the only thing that makes sense in my head, when I'm putting this together, and I love that first Rainbow album, I have that first Self CD, it's just like, I don't own any Rods though. Sorry, Alan.
That's okay. They're not for everyone.
But shit, it's just like, I don't know what to think of this other than, okay, I picked up a hard rock album that looks like it's a metal album. But with a bassist that has a metal background, it's just a weird. So I guess I would file this more in the trick than the treat category.
Yeah.
But I mean, if you see it around, if it's in a $5 bin and you really love the artwork, yeah, I say grab it. But is this something I expect you to spend all the time or whatever? If it's not in your warehouse, and you're always in, malevolent creation mode with Joe Black, maybe it's not your thing. I don't know, but it was a really, really oddball one. Really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
The actual guitarist, Greg Parker, like I said, he's a real big Jimi Hendrix guy. So if you love the Jimi Hendrix isms with your hard rock, you're gonna get a lot of that here with this. Really good lead work, as you could expect. But
So
yes,
no Greg Ginn guesting. Okay.
no, fortunately.
Warhammer's
Sorry to
completely
report.
right. That logo is not centered, and it is a bit maddening.
Although he does play better solos, I will give him that.
You know what that cover needs? Some platypus.
It would. I'm gonna stop using goats now. It's gonna just be platypus skulls. So you heard it here.
I messed up. You saw it.
All right.
Out to the assassin.
Leave it to Rick to bring the rare weirdo stuff. I love it.
Good deal. All right. Time for a trick. This will be a metal theologian special since Aaron's in the chat. Yeah, this one got me pretty early in my vinyl collecting days as I started getting into new wave of British heavy metal. I had seen this listed on some sale lists. The band's name was Incubus. The album title was To the Devil a Daughter. It was on Guardian Records, which is a very collectible new wave of British heavy metal label. Everything about this just screamed cool, dark, evil. I mean, it's gonna be like Welcome to Hell, but even more sinister. The cover is pretty badass. You've got Satan, floating there, dark ritual chamber, robed guys, some kind of hell bitch hanging out there in the pentagram, bleeding. I think her name's Lorraine. I should use her proper name, Lorraine. So yeah, Lorraine's hanging out here in the middle of the pentagram, bleeding a little bit, like she's just been summoned, from Lucifer's, bed chamber or whatever. This album can't be bad. Now, can it? The title's cool. The band name's cool. The cover art's cool. It's got the new wave of British heavy metal collector street cred vibe. This album does not sound anything like any of the information I've given you so far. To be fair, it's not a bad album, but it's really just kind of a straightforward 4/4 early heavy metal album. It's a little bit like the band Demon, not the really top-notch Demon songs. We're talking like the middle of the road Demon songs. So not Don't Break the Circle, just the other ones. It's really similar to bands like Darkheart, which was the worst selling album that Metal Blade ever licensed out of Europe. So yeah, I bought this, saved up my pennies, ordered it, got it, looked at it. I mean, I was pumped to play this thing, and I was just like, oh, come on. It's like Praying Mantis albums give this a run for its money in terms of heaviness. What the hell, man? So yeah, ended up trading it away at some point. But again, to be fair, I've revisited it over the years, and it's not that bad. It's just not at all what I was expecting. Everything screamed that, like this is the thing that Kronos and Mantis were scared to listen to. And then you play it and you realize that even my mom's not scared to listen to this. So expectations, they can be a thing with blind buys that can trip you up. And Incubus to the Devil a Daughter, yeah, definitely wasn't what I expected or wanted out of the album. As I said, nowadays I think it is a pretty good album. The A side's better than the B side. It's one of those albums that feels like it runs a little out of steam towards the end. King Fowley is big on this album. It is not a bad album, but these days it sells for a lot. I would not pay the going rate to try to get it back. I'm okay. Just if I have to hear it, I can dial it up online. I might have it on MP3s, but yeah, it would always be an example of this album tricked me pretty hard back in the day. Sometimes everything can look just right, and what can I say? Lorraine, she's a real heartbreaker.
I almost feel like if Danzig would have went with like another devil theme kind of album, it's probably something he would have went with, like the art direction.
It's still better than Black Acid Devil, so there's that.
Or four. Ugh.
For now, I'm okay with 4. You're not a Glenn guy, and that's okay. 4 is not the best album they did, but it's at the end of the day, it gets a thumbs up, even if it's not a real strong thumbs up. But Marty, you got a trick or a treat this go round?
Oh, we've got a treat here. This is, I think, also purchased around the same time as the Ancient Empire from the same distro. This Storm, God damn it, Storm Spell. I always think Storm Warrior. That's the band, but I got this from Storm Spell, the distro. This is, how could you be flipping through, looking through stuff and not buy something named Owlbear with a cover like that? I mean, that right there, Chaos to the Realm, their debut, and this is fun. I completely knew nothing about it. I'm buying it because it's called Owlbear, and yep, there's a bear with an owl head, and obviously some D&D type campaign going awry here. But yeah, I said this is going in the cart, and it is traditional heavy metal with a lady singer. She crushes. She's got a great voice, really solid. The music, very energetic, a lot of dynamics. It's interesting. It's good. It's exciting listen for a label or for an era right now where there's a lot of traditional metal bands with lady singers, and there's a lot of them doing awesome things, but we're starting to get its own kind of subgenre where there's not a ton of differentiation between bands, I don't think. But this here works. Really, she's got a really raspy, good, bluesy, kind of salt of the earth type of voice. I dig it. I think they're good. And their follow-up album after this, I can't remember the name of it, really, really good as well. I think we're probably going to see it on Alan's end of the year list.
It's fighting for a position. It is. It's a very and that's a good example too, because that's when I avoided because it looked just a little too cheesy.
Oh, I wanted the cheese, man. Cheese.
But you sent me a copy. I was like, okay, I'll give it a chance, and I was instantly hooked. I was like, yeah, this is fantastic.
Yep.
But I was afraid it was going to be just like a very, very lame Dungeons and Dragons, kind of trope, which there really isn't too much of that on the album. It's mixed into, actual honest to God heavy metal. It's not just a bunch of nerds playing guitar because they, left their D20s in their mom's, Prius and she went to work. Yeah.
Good band for sure.
It's one of those fly on the wall things where I wonder what that discussion was like when they're coming up with the name. It's like, did it take a week or 30 minutes?
Yeah.
Yeah. They either put no thought into it or they really galaxy brained the hell out of it. I don't know. I do know I'm getting pretty hot in this costume.
A little itchy.
It's not itchy. It's actually pretty soft and comfy, but it's getting a little warm in here. I am a fire type, to be fair. So maybe it's just me
making his own gravy. All right, Rick, what you got?
I would like to imagine like the owl bear is like the hybrid thing, like the platypus, where it's like it looks like a amalgamation of different animals. Somewhere in the Pacific Northwest, it's like look out, Bigfoot. There's an owl bear around lurking.
Jimmy won't be able to make it to our end of year show because he gets abducted by an owl bear on his next climb.
God, you're really not going to believe this,
The thing that I always liked about it too is just the fact that it's such a goofy name, but in all those gaming manuals, they make it out to be this extremely badass kind of creature. It's like owl bears will fuck you up. You better have a healer on hand to deal with one of those.
All right. So this was most definitely a blind buy. It was one of those things where the cover looked cool as shit, not in the metal kind of way. It just has a sort of really classical sense and really interesting painting. So this is a band out of Germany called Mark Graf, and really fascinating stuff. It's kind of like actually, I think the guy behind this, or the main guy behind this, put it under his own. I think it's one of those deals where he created a label, Blow Troll Propaganda, to put this out, and so distribution's probably not the greatest on this. I think I got this at one of those. This was back in 2020, like at one of those distro sales, and got it probably in a trade or something, and it had this in stock, so picked it up. But you know what? I'm gonna put this in the treat category. It's you're Kurt Hungle fans. If you're big on Tim Baker, you're gonna get a lot of this here. Guy sounds quite a lot like him, so you're gonna get. It's like an amalgamation of black metal with kind of classic. Yeah, Olio is the guy. There you go. Yeah, Peter would know. Thanks, Peter. It's like take Kurt Hungle with Merciful Fate, but then add in like Master's Hammer on top of it. The black metal, it's not like the second wave kind of black metal. We're talking like the first wave stuff, or even the more oddball, kind of more on the other side of the world kind of stuff. So it kind of has all these different leanings, so it's kind of like it has an old style sound, but if you like your metal really weird, I would say I'm going to point this to people who like Malacarpetin. If you like the Malacarpetin stuff, you might like this. I don't think this sounds quite like Malacarpetin, but it has that weirdness to it. It's the way Malacarpetin does. It kind of has the black metal side, but it has that fist pumping, fucking classic sense of heavy metal. A lot of Kurzangel kind of thrown in. Really cool. I think they have one more newer. This is the debut, so it's just self-titled. But they did put out an album. Was it last year? No, it was not too long ago.
Yeah,
I think someone
Peter
just said
said 2024.
2024. Yeah. So I still need to pick that one up. I definitely will at some point. I've checked it out. I did check that one out online. But at the time when I picked this up, I knew nothing about this band. I just fucking love that cover. I was just, this thing is, it's just sweet. But again, I've never seen anybody else really bring it up, around and in the channel.
Never seen
or whatever.
it. No.
Yeah, I've never seen anybody really bring it up. But it's just, and you wouldn't know from the letter, but that's supposed to be a K. Right there.
It's the font he used. There's a couple fonts that do that. Yeah.
Mark Graf, but really killer stuff. I would definitely highly recommend this. It's got a really cool melodic fist pumping moments. There's a little bit of that kind of black metal edge, but it's not so overt. It's still very rooted in heavy metal for the most part. The other cover too is pretty good. They pretty much stick to this theme. I've noticed. I'm guessing they're using the same artist for this. Yeah, 2020. So and thing about like I'm noticing like I might be showing some 2020 stuff because that was a weird year for everybody. It's just like a lot of things went kind of over people's heads or unnoticed because of what was going on with the world around that time. So I got a feeling this one was overlooked quite a lot, and it wasn't released on a big no name label or anything like that. So they probably relied on a lot of independent distribution.
You definitely got some folks in the chat curious to check that one out.
Yeah,
I think
highly
I've checked
recommend it.
them out.
Really,
I
really
can't
good.
quite remember, but it rings a bell. I think I did check those out, and it was kind of cool.
Yeah, I think you would like it. You're Kurzango fans, so you would definitely. Again, I know that some of the criticisms with Kurzango was the vocals can sometimes be a little something to get used to. You know, it could be a bit of an acquired taste, but if you do dig it and you love that approach, that really
Mhm.
can't quite do it. But and if you a tall boy in, so my voice is not quite quite there. So might have to grab another trash talk raccoon, but I don't know. We'll see. Yeah, Margraf again, just self-titled, but really good stuff. But definitely a treat.
All right, Alan.
All right, let's see. I'll stay in the new wave of British heavy metal for a little while because I didn't learn my lesson from the Incubus debacle after Lorraine broke my heart. Another one.
Bitch.
Yeah, she's a real heartbreaker. What can I say? Call me. But yeah, another one I saw advertised, just, and again, this is in the days where you just would have to like send a dealer like a self-addressed stamped envelope, or like $1 or something, and they would send you a copy of their catalog. And, they, would have some pictures, some descriptions. Some people wrote long descriptions, some didn't. One guy had this album by a band called Desolation Angels, which I thought, was a very cool name. I had no idea it was, the name of a Bad Company album. If I had, probably would have seemed less cool, but it just sounded pretty awesome. And he had this huge paragraph long write-up about, just how fucking killer this album was. And being a dumb, teenager is just like, oh, that sounds awesome. I have to get it. But it was like a $50 album. It's always been around $40 to $50, a little hard to find. There's 2 pressings of it. Oddly, it got a South American pressing in like 1987, which is not what you would expect, but there you go. But yeah, it was one I really wanted to check out. The description had it, kind of described as like a supercharged, Black Sabbath things. I was like, oh, I gotta hear it. But $40-$50 was a little out of my price range. So, but the way it played out, my parents were like, oh, you got one of those, other catalogs and stuff like that. We don't know what to get you for Christmas. So tell you what, we'll give you, I think it was like $50 and you can order what you want out of the catalog and that'll be your Christmas present. So it's like, I'm buying this. Basically, it's a blind buy, but I'm kind of playing with house money here. Since it's like, okay, this is my chance to check out this Desolation Angels, and that will be my Christmas present from the parents. And I got it, and it is a glorious record. I love this one to this day. And it does, it sounds a little bit like, classic Black Sabbath, but the production's not as strong. Yeah, this was a band doing it, just sort of an independent release. And this came out in 86. The band had been around for several years, but they didn't get the album out until 86. But yeah, lots of great stuff. Vocalist David Walls on here is really good. He can kind of wail. He has like a little bit of a doomy kind of, presence to his voice. Gives it a lot of atmosphere. Fantastic album, almost start to finish. I don't know if there's a bad track on the album. Love the cover art. Really nicely done. For a small, independent band. It's kind of cliche, but still looks pretty cool with the Reaper, big winged horse, trampling down gravestones.
I was going to ask if I seen it in a record store. First thing I would think is Steve Grimmett in it?
That would be a fair question.
Will this fit on the side of my van?
They even got decent artwork for the back cover, big lightning going through a skull. They didn't have a drummer in the lineup at the time. So for the drummer, they just had the cloaked figure with the skull.
That's funny.
Which got kind of clever. It's like, okay, we have a drummer, but he's not actually a member. So we're not actually going to depict him. I like it. But yeah, great album. The band stuck around. They actually relocated to Los Angeles and tried to make a go of it in California in the late 80s. That material, some people really dig it. I can't get into it very much, but they did hang around and try to make a long-term go of it. But yeah, so the original Desolation Angels, one of the best blind buys I ever did, even though I technically didn't have to pay for it myself. had no idea what was going to show up in the mail, how it was going to turn out. But yeah, it's become an all-time favorite. So thanks, Mom and Dad.
Desolation's a safe word for me. Most records that have the word desolation are usually like a thumbs up for me. There's something about records with that word.
Mm.
Or
Okay.
like a tank with desolation wrote on the side in
Oh,
blood.
that's just total orgasm right there. Like I just
Yeah. Tank. Yeah, Jimmy's in the chat. Monday, a little show note early on here. Oromet, he'll be reviewing the new Oromet album. That'll be up on Monday, 12:30ish p.m. So check that out. And Alan, we posted a review Thursday for oh my god,
November
and
Master's Hammer.
Master's Hammer. Yep. Go check it out. That Master's Hammer sounds so intriguing. I'm going to probably get it. Sounds very good. Move my funky ass. All right.
One of those bands, I never know if they're done or not, or if they're releasing stuff. They're just kind of all over the place. I don't know. They're weird with just releases.
And it's funny because you look at the dudes in the band, half of them look like they're, playing hooky from the retirement home to do this stuff. It's pretty funny. All right. Okay. This is another one where, well, it's kind of hard to say no when you get 4 of their releases for $20. I was on Paragon Records one night looking at their cheapo CDs.
Oh, that's dangerous.
And I come across this band called Alderon. It's not Alderon like Star Wars, 2 A's, Alderon. I don't know, but pretty much drum machine black metal. Other than this debut, I think Nos. I'm not even gonna try to read it. There's a drummer on this one. You know what? It's pretty epic, melodic, fierce black metal, and I've always got. I grew up in northern Michigan. Went through the '90s. Was a aspiring death and black metal musician. Never had a drummer, so we employed the work of the Alesis HR16. And it was a nightmare working. You talk about killing creativity. Nowadays, it's so much easier to drag and drop your drummer, no problem. But very drum machine oriented. This is Supreme Silence. This is, oh God, Majestic Heights, Melancholic Depths. Arcane Mountain Cult. And the one I don't know. And you know what? I found myself going through these cursory spins saying, you know what? They don't hide the fact they're using a drum machine, which is completely fine. And the music is really solid. And I liked it enough where I even bought their new one when it came out. So here's a blind buy. I read the description. It was very minimal. But like, you know what? $5 a CD. If it sucks, I can put it in a VCLT box, ship it away somewhere. But they end up sticking. I ended up liking it. And this one here, I'm not gonna read it. But this is yeah. See, Tyler knows all this stuff. I'm just kind of we'll sail on his wings of knowledge here. But you know what? I do like it. It's a 2-piece band, and they're really solid. Looks like they played some shows. I don't know if they did that with the drummer or if they actually go out with the machine or computer or whatever they do. But more power to them. Solid material, epic, really melodic, memorable melody lines on here. Good stuff. Check it out. It's still going for cheap on Paragon Records, so go over there and check it out. No, it says goat penis. You know it doesn't. Alderon. Not Princess Leia's homeworld, I don't think. But anyway. There you go. That was a trick. That was a treat, actually. Rick.
I wish I was enough of a Star Wars nerd to know if that was correct or not. Damn it. The Princess Leia thing. I do have a Arcane Mountain and Majestic Heights. I didn't get it from Paragon though. I got them from a Derendak Black Mass. They're he moved the stuff to Canada now.
Alderon for Princess Leia is Alderaan. Is that how this is spelled?
Oh, okay.
No, it's spelled different. So.
Yeah, it's really good stuff. I mean, it's the French black metals. I kind of have a soft spot for that scene too. It's just the Bell, Seth band, those kind of bands.
Actually, technically, Marty, it's spelled Rubble.
Well, you gotta get the spelling right too. You can't just know the name.
There's an umlaut over the U.
Yeah, right.
Okay, so I'm gonna go with back to the trick. Not one that I hate, but it was not what I was expecting. It's not quite Joe Black as far as that big faux pas. But I don't know where you guys fall with this band. I know this might be a little too sweater wearing, scratchy sweater kind of thing with when it comes to Opeth. But this was supposed to be something that was released kind of around the same time. And I got into Opeth, I think around Still Life. Blackwater Park came out, and it was just like, yeah, this is really good stuff. It's got that kind of progressiveness, but not so overt, kind of what they became later on. So and then they dropped Deliverance, and I remember picking this up when it was new at the time, and awesome track. I mean, I have no complaint. I mean, this was definitely got me through a lot of work days and whatnot. But this was around 2002, 2003, when that stuff. So it was quite a while ago. And so lo and behold, they drop another album very soon. Probably not even like not even a year later. I think this must have been like months after this one. But I didn't read anything about it. I just knew the name. This is Opeth. You know where I'm going with this.
Yep.
So they released Damnation. And this one right here, with a name like Damnation, I'm expecting this to be even heavier. It was supposed to be this big monster, I'm expecting what is this would have like something like Masters of Apprentices, right? Like that something killer, right? Like I love, not at all. This was their light Pink Floyd putting this in there. I'm waiting for the metal to come in. I'm like, any moment. It's going to come.
This is the longest intro ever.
Mike will never let me down. Never lets me down. And then after 40 minutes in, I'm resigned. Maybe this is not a metal album.
It's going to hit any time now.
It never hit. This was this gave me the metal blue balls. Like, I didn't get at all. I'm like, what the hell? Like, again, that was on me for not doing any research, not reading any reviews. I was just excited to get another Opeth album, and I had no idea what was coming my way with this. I guess part of me should have known. Aquafel at the time, maybe it was still too early, but he had these progressive leanings. I hear a little bit of Pink Floydisms and other things kind of going on with a little bit of stuff with his. I already knew even at the time, Opeth was not an everybody kind of band. It was the songs are long, the structure's very strange, but to go where he went with, I don't hate the album. It was not what I wanted at the time. It was not what I was expecting, for what it is. It's not the non-metal stuff that he put out later on, which was very Camel and Goblin, and it had like that stuff thrown in there. We will find out later on. We completely abandoned metal. Well, kind of came around with the last one. But this is one that always gives me that memory of disappointment because when I picked it up, I was just like, this is way too mellow from what I wanted it though. I wanted another Blackwater Park. I wanted something that was, man, but I paid like what was stupid money at the time. Must have been $18 or something, for this.
We should have knew something was up when it came with the Opeth collector sweater. We should have been. Oh, maybe.
I didn't redeem the sweater. I didn't cut out the coupon on the back of the box, for it. But
yeah, when I had a link, to like your local SPCA, so you could rent a cat for the evening.
But why call it Damnation?
Well, that was always my thing there. It seemed like for those two albums, the titles were switched. The soft one should be called Deliverance, and the heavier one should be called Damnation.
Even today, I still kind of mistake it. I keep wanting to call this one Deliverance, this one Damnation, because it feels more like a Damnation album. But that's where I was at the time, and it's just like it's one of those blind buys where I'm like just kind of put off. I didn't hate it, but it was just like not what I wanted at the time. So yeah, but It's all right. I still have my sweater in the closet. It's not as scratchy anymore like it was when it was new.
Yeah.
Keeps me
Yep.
warm.
All right. Alan.
All right, time for another trick. This band I should love. They're classic doom metal. They're Swedish. They're really good instrumental, good musicians. There's nothing. Everything is going for this band. And when I first heard about them, it's like, that checks all the boxes. I must hear it. Couldn't find it. So I ordered it. I think I got it from Shadow Kingdom back in the day. And played it. And I've never, ever been able to get into the album. And I've actually checked out 2 or 3 albums by the band, and every time it's the same thing. The band we were talking about is, excuse me, Isolé. And the first one I checked out was Throne of Void. And it's classic doom metal cover image. And again, it checks every little box about Swedish doom metal you could possibly want it to check. And yet at the end of the album, I'm just like, it feels like it took 3 years to get through this album, and I never want to hear it again. Not because it's bad, just because it's extremely boring. And I mean, doom is supposed to be slow, but you don't want it to become boring slow. And Isolé just never has managed to interest me. Again, it's not just this one. Maybe I got the wrong album. Maybe that's before they found their, stride or whatever. I picked up Bliss of Solitude, the one after that. Yep. I remember this being on the show for a while. Okay, maybe they just needed one more album to get it together. Nope, same problem. It is well composed and well performed Swedish doom metal, and it bores the crap out of me. And I like that stuff. That's generally one of my wheelhouses. So I've never quite put a finger on what it is about the band that doesn't work, other than just it sounds very clean, very straightforward. It just somehow it manages not to have the emotional impact that classic doom metal needs to have. It needs to hit you heavy, and you'll have that real leaden feel to it. And Isolé just never does. They've stuck around. They've done a bunch more albums. I think there was a third one I checked out, but 3 strikes and you're out. I am not dealing with this band anymore. So yeah, Isolé should have been a treat, and it absolutely turned into a trick. Rick, I'm curious, with your doom metal predilections, what you think of Isolé, if you're into them or never checked them out. Or...
I think if I saw that at the record store, it kind of looks new metal actually to me. Based on that cover, I would expect
the font they use in their logo sucks. It's not very inspiring to buy it.
Yeah,
the logo, the logo could use some work for sure. Nope, I agree there. But no, it's very much, Swedish doom metal by good musicians who just cannot seem to capture the actual soul of doom. And they should, but they can't.
Which is strange because there's a very thriving doom scene. You'd think they...
Oh, yeah. It's, Sweden's been cranking that stuff out for decades, and they're excellent at it. I mean, there is no reason this album should miss. And yet this band has missed and missed and missed. I just, can't. Doesn't work. Well, some of them have to be tricks. So bought it without hearing it. And and in this case, again, I didn't buy them all at once. But, it's like, get one. Nah, that's not the right one. Try again. So, it tricked me 3 times. And that's enough. No more Isolé for me, please.
It's like that one band. What's it? That Sardonicus band. It's just... they try and try, but it's never...
Rigor Sardonicus?
Yeah.
Oh man, yeah. Not yeah.
Well. Marty, your turn to trick or treat.
Well, my apologies to all of you folks out here. There's a 3 album run here of experiments that I thought... I'm into electronic. I do like electronic music, especially industrial. I do like it when metal bands mix industrial in with their sound. Some bands do it great. Some bands aren't that great at it. Some of them follow more of a commercial trajectory. So when I'm in the mood for electronic music, I feel greatly deficient in that style. I feel greatly deficient in like power metal. I mean, I know enough to be dangerous, but I like to explore. You know, when you're blind buying, well, there's this label called Sentient Ruin, who are very good label. They do a lot of black metal stuff. They do a lot of variety. There's a lot of variety, but they also have a lane where they're doing industrialized metal, black metal type releases, and they're pretty cheap on their website. So one night I bought a bunch of shit.
Well, they run sales all the time.
Yeah, and this is Ash Prison with Future Torn. Okay. I remember getting this by the time the package hit, I was already kind of getting out of the mood. So when I put this on, I remember it being a lot more harsh and unwelcoming. I listened to it today, and the one after it, which I'll show next round, I listened to today too, thinking it's more leaning into the noise realm, which, you know, people are into that. It's cool. I get it. I prefer dark ambient. If I'm going to get into, you know, formless type of music, aggressive, formless, I prefer dark ambient than noise. But putting this on today, man, it's pretty sick. It's really very dark, very, very dark. This isn't, you can tell it isn't a metal band farting around with electronics, because, you know, metal heads are typically really good at making metal. When you start tinkering with other stuff, you're kind of putting a metal perspective on electronics, where people that are into electronics, they're very boned up on the tech, all the instrumentation, how to use it in a song. And when they mix in the metal ideas, typically they approach it like another electronic instrument. So this is very snarled and evil and dark sounding industrial. It's industrial based, but it's very well formed and twisted, and it is a little unwelcoming because it is so dark. But I thought that it, you know, my initial blind buy, spinning it when I wasn't in the mood for it, I'm like, there's too much noise on here, I don't care. But spinning it today, I'm like, oh, it's actually, you know, there's a drum machine holding down the fort. There's guitars and mixed in, and the vocals are just super sick and dark. And yeah, this is the back. I think I like the back cover better than the front cover. But Ash Prison with Future Torn. Actually, now I was thinking this was a trick. It's not. Listening to it today, it's a treat. It's not going to be pulled off the shelf very often, but when I'm in the mood for it, it's going to definitely hit the spot.
Fair enough.
Yeah, the thing with Sentient Ruin too, it's like take like Anonymous Rock and like make them into a label. It's like they got all those elements, and you know, they loved all that caustic, and it's not an easy listening label. You're not gonna get Michael Bolton with this. Like this. You're gonna get pretty harsh listens. It's good if you're in the mood for that stuff. And they run a lot of sales. They do carry some heavy metal titles too.
They do. Yeah. They got a good mix. It's a very diverse label for sure. And I see people in here mentioning Dungeon Synth. You know, I've spent some time with Dungeon Synth. I started to explore in that too when the tapes were cheap. Now tapes aren't cheap anymore. I would buy a bunch of stuff and quickly realize that there are a handful of masters in the scene. The rest of them, there's a lot of stuff that sounds the same, but a lot of using the same instruments and sounds. And but then again, I got kind of discouraged because I was getting a lot of sameness, so I kind of stopped. But I know the scene is blown up. I can't believe the scene has lasted as long as it has. That's great. I mean, it's cool.
Yeah.
But anyway, Rick.
I'm not anti-drum machines, you know. Again, it's come a long way, especially when you listen to the stuff that came out in the '90s versus
when
how
you
much
don't hide the fact and you lean into it and make it, you know, this is electronic. I dig it. I dig that. You know, I think that's pretty cool.
Most of the time, just a dead giveaway. It's a one-man thing, you know. There's no big label backing it. There's bound to be suspicions, and it can be repetitive, not very forward in the mix.
Yep.
So here's an interesting one. So this one is I've never explored the solo material from Uli John Roth.
Oh.
And and this is, I think, kind of what I was when I showed the War Ordained, in the beginning, when I'm like, is this another one of the solo materials where I think it's going to be like a main band kind of thing? And so this came out like in the mid 80s or something like that, 84, 85, under the title Electric Sun was his project. And this is something I'm sure you probably run into a lot at the record stores, and probably in the maybe the $5 bin. I'm guessing, like it's not something that's pushed around quite a lot. But this is the Beyond the Astral Skies. And as you guys know, once he left the Scorpions, I feel like he felt like he had his run with that band. He wanted to kind of explore bigger things. He didn't want to do the whole very commercial sounding stuff, kind of where the Scorpions was going. And this being a blind buy, I did not know what to expect, but looking at that cover, I'm like, this doesn't sound like it's going to be Scorpions sounding material at all. But it's got a UFO, so that's another thing I'm a sucker for. I love UFOs, I love tanks on covers. But it's how do I describe it? It's kind of like take Queen. It's very grandiose, mix maybe some Boston in there. It's not really a metal album. You kind of have this big giant production with the choir. And so I'm looking at this, I'm like, this is kind of like something where I would kind of purify myself in a very glorious manner with like big angelic lights, kind of strewn all over. And, him doing what he does, it's got some really good leads and very motive stuff. If you're into Gary Moore, you kind of feel, the way he plays the motive with those solos, you feel a lot of that kind of stuff in here. But man, very, very of that time, very mid 80s. I almost feel like this is something Jim Steinman could have got behind, just because had that big operatic thing going on. It just that whole vibe. It's the cover was definitely a draw. I couldn't even read what that said at first. I'm going around in the record store, kind of perusing through this, and I'm like, this looks progressive. It might be some kind of art rock or something like that. I'm trying to figure this out, and it's just this. Hey, I know that name.
If he wrote a whole album that sounded as killer as Sales of Sharon, then I would be buying all this shit. But
it's a little bit of that stuff. I wouldn't call this a progressive album, but if you do like a little bit of Styx,
Mr. Roboto Sticks,
there might be some of those elements kind of thrown in there. It's just strange, because if you love those classic Scorpions albums and then you run into something like this, you're like, what happened? But he's been interviewed quite a number of times. He's kind of talking about where his headspace was at the time and how he wanted to move to more. He was never about that. He never chased the dollars. Clearly, if he did, he would have just stayed with the Scorpions. So he wanted to move in a more artistic kind of manner. And plus, the stuff he was playing here, those guys never would have. I couldn't see Klaus singing to this kind of material at all. It's just not for what it was. I don't hate it, but this is not something I would put on. I got to be in a headspace for this kind of thing. But it does feel like you're bathing in the river and cleansing, and you're kind of reinvigorating your soul, kind of thing, which doesn't happen that often. Maybe it should. But yeah, Willie John Roth.
In the South, we call that a come to Jesus moment. We baptize you while we get you
kind of
scrubbed
does, but this looks like another kind of deity. So whatever that deity is, that's that one has UFOs. So I kind of like this one a little better.
If it's an Uli project, it probably is some kind of representation of Hendrix, because he definitely worshipped at the altar of Jimmy.
That's a good point, Tyler. If Uli stayed with Scorpions, they never would have gotten to that arena status. It's true.
Yeah,
he was too obtuse of a player to cater to that big
It
you know?
feels like this was a product at that time when that's because they came out. I think it was '85. By then, a lot of those bands, like the heights of those bands, were already starting to wane down. Those Journey and those bands were already kind of already. That's why I said it kind of has a bit of a Boston feel to it too. So it's just a strange mix of what was going on in time here, a bit of a time capsule, but a bit on the later stage of that era. So yeah, Willie John Roth fans, there you go.
Fair enough.
If you like Boston with Jim Steinman, there you go.
All right.
Rick is making an excellent case tonight for why I tend to avoid solo albums.
So basically, he just named half of the Savatage catalog.
$5 bin, it's all yours.
Boston.
All right, let's
Jim
see. Time
Steinman.
for a treat. There's a small chance I heard this somewhere along the line before I bought it, but if so, it's lost. So I'm counting it as a blind buy. I heard about this band because they have members associated with both summoning and kind of there's an Abigor connection, although it's not a really strong Abigor connection, mainly summoning. The band is called Amestigen. They've been around as a black metal entity for a long time, but they only made 2 albums. This is the first one called Son of All Sons, and this is not the original cover art. The original cover art looks a bit cooler than this. I don't mind this design, but I do like the original better. The original is hard to find. They had a pretty good logo, which is on the back here. And yeah, the vocalist was on some of the Abigor demos before they recorded any albums. Silenius from Abigor has worked with this project, but I don't think he's not the lead vocalist on either of the albums. He may have done a few backing vocals or maybe like sung on one song for the albums. So yeah, mostly just, other guys that, don't have a really long resume of bands as I recall, but both albums are pretty interesting. They are kind of perfectionist by their own accounts. Which is why it takes them forever to write or record anything, and they thus never got many albums done. It's a different style of black metal. It sometimes leans slightly cosmic, but not nearly to the extent of something like a Limbonic Art or a Manes or anything. It's got a somewhat modern black metal sound, but it doesn't lean urban. It doesn't lean industrial or drum machine or anything. It's just extremely well composed. Without sounding necro or trying to sound cult or raw or anything like that. It tends to have a pretty good sound. The second album sounds even much cleaner than this one. The production here is okay, but the second one, they stepped it up a lot there. And yeah, it was just one of those things like, okay, they're kind of tied to the dude who sings for Summoning. I like Summoning a lot. I'll keep an eye out for this, and picked it up when I had a chance. And it took a little while to grow. This wasn't like an instant trick or treat. It was more of a, okay, different. Let's run that back, try it again. But did get there. Not every song on it is great. And to be honest, the second album is probably a bit stronger. But when I got that one, I had already investigated this one, for quite a while. So this was really the one that was more of a blind buy when I don't think I'd heard anything by the band previously. Like I said, there's some demos here. I'm sure they did like an EP here or there earlier, but you don't see their stuff very much. It was all on smaller labels. But Son of All Sons is actually a pretty interesting and decently strong album. And the second album moved on to the second one, the song structures get really long. It's like 4, 12 to 20 minute songs, but works extremely well. This is kind of the prelude to that. Pretty cool stuff. One of those black metal projects that gets overlooked just because they didn't do enough material. All the lyrics and stuff, there's supposed to be a very strong sort of order of magic with a K, of course, something, blah, blah, blah kind of theme to it. It's not just Crowley. It's not just, Ordo Temple of the Dragon stuff. They kind of have their own little weird esoteric magical belief thing that inspires a lot of the music and imagery. But yeah, I can dig it, and it turned out to be a pretty interesting blind buy that it took a while. Had to invest some time into it, but it definitely got there.
Nice. All right. Well, still Sentient Ruin. This is another one I bought and thought was just too harsh, too noise-like for me to pursue further. Thought it was a trick. Well, spun it today. V12, I'm assuming. Roman numeral V12 with Lou Cipher Sabatian. This thing is really dark industrial. And it sounds like legit industrial. Again, it doesn't sound like a metal band farting around with some beats. This is really layered.
It doesn't sound like Joe Black.
No, this is not Joe Black. I'm not ripping this one in half, throwing it in the trash. Very well layered. The programming is exceptional. The vocals are twisted. Again, it's very nightmarish, which when you're at the end of your electronics phase that you're in and you put this on, it feels very unwelcoming. There's a certain degree of wanting to attack the listener here, but listening to it today on the phone as I was going through picking stuff, I'm like, damn, this is pretty solid industrial, very dark, kind of creepy. Again, I'm going to probably throw the slab on hopefully sometime this weekend and listen to it on vinyl, because I found that electronic music on wax really it's really cool. I was listening to a download record last night, as a matter of fact, and pure electronic music. The vinyl adds a bit of warmth, a little bottom end to it. Very good. Sounds very good on wax. So this has got a bunch of distortion on it, and guitar samples mixed in to give it if you're a metalhead and you like some electronics, it might appeal to you a little bit. Check it out. Again, V12. Wait, yeah, 10, 11, 12. Yes. Lou Cipher Sabatian. Sentient Ruin. Blind Buy. There you go. Take a chance.
They're a good label for that stuff. There's a lot of titles there where like just come out of nowhere, or these one-offs, so, and it runs sales often enough that it's just cheap enough to make it worth putting in your cart. I've gotten quite a few good things through there. This one right here, interesting. This is something that I've never seen in a distro or anywhere else. I found it at the record store, and I'm guessing it's his wounds are from, I think they're from Greece. They're Greek. Greek label.
I like that label. A lot of really cool raw black metal. It's good shit.
Yeah, I've gotten quite a number of things from there. For some reason I've overlooked this one. It came out back in 2017, something like that. Whispers in the Fire, Seer's Fire. I did not know what to expect. It definitely looks something black metal adjacent. I was expecting kind of something along those lines. They had it for like $7, something like that. I'm like, you know what? Yeah, for $7 for a vinyl, like from His Wounds. Yeah, I'll check it out. And it's completely instrumental. It's I would say this is something adjacent to like something like Summoning. If you are big Summoning fans, I could definitely see you being drawn to something like this. It's a one-man thing from the Netherlands, and I think this is a really good example of where you can go with a blind buy. I think the only thing that holds this down is this is a guy who has if you check out his page, he's got like a million. He's one of those guys, he's got like a million other bands.
Some prolific. Yep.
Yeah, he's one of those kind of dudes, and really cool. I like what they did with the labels here. It's my only issue with this. I feel like there's a layer of how do I say it? It's like a layer of noise and gravel. I don't know if they're trying to go for like an analog effect and sound, kind of like an overlay to this, to kind of give it a bit of an essence of nature to it. But I feel like there are some moments when it gets really loud and grandiose. It doesn't bother me as much. But when you get into those like little quiet moments, that filter or whatever he's using to give it that graininess to it, it kind of gets in the way, you know. So it's like the pretty parts are not as pretty, you know. I guess you could say the really and then when you get to the big loud and kind of epic moments, like he gets there kind of the way summoning does. He knows what he's doing. I just I don't know artistically what was going through his head when he was adding that kind of noise, kind of overlay. It's all over this album, and I'm not sure why. But I don't know. I guess I've listened to enough of this kind of stuff where I've learned to kind of just and not let it bother me too much. But if you're looking for something with a bit of I guess of a cleaner production, you know, but you know, we're talking, it still appeals to a black metal crowd. So I'm guessing, you know, he knows who this is, you know, appealing to. What kind of audience is going to pick this up? I did not know what to expect. You know, I picked this up thinking it's going to be something a little more kind of in that direction, but I wasn't expecting completely instrumental kind of a deal.
Does he have a US leg for his distro, or do you have to get it from Greece?
That's a good question. I mean, clearly I bought it from a US record store, so I don't know how it arrived there, or through a trade-in or whatever, but everything I bought through His Wounds was usually through I wait till there's like a sale or something like along those lines, or if it's a title I really, really want. It's few and far in between when it does happen. But most of the time, if I see that logo and it's sitting in a record shop and it's at the right price, I'm never going to say no. Like, it's, you know, especially something like this, like it's got a pretty cool, mysterious enough cover going on. It like puts enough curiosity in you, and to kind of and by the time I picked this up, I had at the records, I had a pile like this. And I'm like, I saw this and I'm like, can I add $7? I think I could. I think I'll swing that. This looks. Yeah. This is enough selling factor kind of going on here. I'm glad I did. You know, it's summoning worship, of course. You know, it's a guy who's prolific, knows what he's doing. You know, but like I said, the only thing that brings it down is he decided to use this sort of overlay noise thing that I think kind of interferes with a lot of the quieter moments. You know, that didn't really. I felt it didn't need to be there. But yeah, Sears Fire again. It's really good stuff. But there's a million of these summoning worship bands, you know, out there. So
yeah,
it's not, you know, like I can't sell you just on that alone. But I feel like this is somebody who's really enveloped in that world.
The only band that really got it right though was Caladan Brood. And
that one doesn't have that noisy filter overlay.
Yeah.
like this.
And the guy can sing.
Yeah. You're right. That's the only. I think that's the thing that really has it over something like this. So it's just another project. Like I said, I wouldn't pay $30-$40 for this if you see it around. But if you see it for $7 all day, man, yeah, definitely. Yeah, really good stuff.
So you listened to it once and you showed it once. So that right there is justified the $7. You never touch it again. Fuck it.
I'm going back to summoning.
Alan.
All right, good deal. Let's see. Last new wave of British heavy metal entry for the night. Another one that, once again, back in the pre-eBay days, information, you didn't have a lot to go on. But with a band named Satanic Rites, how could it go satanic wrongs? The album's called Which Way the Wind Blows. The cover art on this thing is killer. Again, just a small kind of indie thing. It's really dark, so it's going to take a moment to show up. But there you go. You got, maiden riding a horse, dark shoreline, astral looking thing up in the clouds, and it has this really cool ornate border all the way around the edge of the cover too, with lots of detail on it. So yeah, like as soon as I saw this, I'm like, holy crap. It's still, awesome cover. I'm like, and with a name like that and the album title's all mysterious and this cover is blowing me away, forget about Lorraine. Lorraine's yesterday's news. This is where it's at. This is not where it is at. Whatever it is not here. Band has a female vocalist. I think they also use male They may have switched to a male vocalist at some point because they did make some more material. And once again, you're expecting something like powerful, mysterious, a little bit dark. No, and no. It is none of the things that it is advertising itself to be. It's like there's nothing satanic about it, and there's nothing mysterious about it, and there's nothing dark about it. It's, again, it's not horrible, but it feels just like another one of those bands that was almost new wave of British heavy metal, more like guilt by association. They were around at the right time and had kind of the right type of image, but musically it just has very little punch to it. It falls a bit flat. Another one that, kind of broke my heart a bit and had to go into the trade pile and is long gone. Again, it's not that the album sucks or anything. Aaron and I have talked about this one a little bit from time to time. I kind of wish I had kept it just for the cover. The cover would look great on the wall behind me. But at the same time, I usually only put covers back there that are albums I really enjoy. And it would be a little weird having that one up there and be like, cool cover. Man, I wish that album was good. It just isn't that good. So, another one that's and that's a good example of why if I could have heard even 2 or 3 minutes of that album online, I would have known instantly to pass on it. I was just like, no, this is going nowhere. But you didn't have that luxury back pre-internet days, so got stuck with it. It tricked me. Satanic Rites, Which Way the Wind Blows. It blows straight over that way, which is where the used bin is at. No thanks. All right, Marty, your turn.
Well, again, I was trying to widen my horizons with this whole OSDM movement that was happening a couple years ago. Still is happening. Let's be honest. I'm an old school death metal guy, and I do really like the OSDM movement quite a bit. It's kind of centers around an incantation worship, but I checked this out on Bandcamp, bought it. Alchemy of Flesh. Actually, I didn't really check it out too much on Bandcamp. I saw that it was available and bought it. I don't know if Melanie talked about this or if Simon talked about this, but this is the debut by this project, Alchemy of Flesh. This is Ageless Abominations. This is the guy. This guy is quite a prolific artist. He has got a handful of metal projects, but he also has a lot of dungeon synth projects. The most notable being Hole Dweller, which is Lord of the Rings Hobbit reference. He also does the synth project Bellkeeper Forklift Operator and resides in Athens, Georgia. But this album, I bought it trying to expand my horizons, listened to it once, and it's been sitting on the to listen to shelf for probably, what year did this come out? 4 years. It's been sitting on my unfiled shelf for 4 freaking years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, this is I've got like a 2-foot stack of records that I had to have that either I haven't listened to or listened to once and didn't feel comfortable filing it. Well, I put this on this week, and guess what? It really is pretty awesome. It's Morbid Angel Worship with a little bit of Hate Eternal mixed in. It's a one-man project. It's pretty solid. It's on Redefining Darkness. The Morbid Angelisms are, very much in the Domination era. So you got that low tune kind of swarthy swagger, kind of drawn out, nasty riffs, dark and evil. Kind of glad I listened to it because I'm like, this is a pretty good record. And they got a new one out. He's got a newer one out. Came out in 2023 by Will Alone. Looks like some kind of kung fu Street Fighter type of cover. The guy that done a synth project about forklifts. What do you?
I
you
see
don't
that
know?
one. Forklift operator.
Yeah, he does forklift operator. Yeah, it's the name of the synth project. But this is surprisingly good, and it's good to get it off the shelf and be refamiliarized with Charizard's having a heat stroke over there. But
I'm still trying to understand what I'm looking at there on the cover. It's just this blob of stuff. Is that Mother Brain?
yeah, looks like a Beyonder or something. One of those from D&D is out there called Beyonders. It was like basically a brain with tentacles. Yeah. Anyway, it was a blind buy. I'm glad I listened to it again. I don't know that I'm going to keep it because I don't know if it hits the shelf if it's ever going to be listened to again. I'll be honest. So Trick or Treat, I don't know. It's good. It's really solid, but we'll see. Rick.
Some albums are very gray area, like very, very gray area. It's like you kind of have to kind of feel the probabilities of whether you're really going to return to it or not. You can tell yourself a lot of stuff.
Yep.
But you probably won't.
You probably won't.
Well, okay. It's time to get really nerdy. If you guys are ready for this, like, here we go.
Rick's been waiting to break this one out for a while.
I got this from Nuclear War Now. They have their every now and then they'll do a fire sale.
Yeah.
And I got in on that. The cover looked nerdy enough for me. I like things like Land of the Lost and things with lizards and whatnot. And this is a band. I actually had to look up this name because it's so hard to say. Adgul Sacrist, and it's called Outplay in the Fields of the Grebo. This is total nerds paradise kind of stuff. You could pick many franchises. They could have done Star Wars. They could have done Lord of the Rings, the Tolkien stuff. They could have done, any other kind of fantasy thing. They went with material for something from a series called Discworld. I've never heard of it. I've never
heard of it.
But apparently it's a popular book series. It's been around for a while. I've never dove into this world that they created this concept out of. And so there's a character named Nanny Og. She's apparently this. I think that's her right there. You would not know it. This looks like some kind of lizard creature of some sort. And she's known to be very sexual. Again, you don't get any of this from the cover. And Nanny Og has a cat, and that's what they play in the Fields of the Grebo. So Nanny Og has a very optimistic lens for things that are evil, including her cat. When you think of evil cats in fiction, I'm thinking of like Dr. Claw's cat, Gargamel's cat.
Azrael. It's
Azrael. Yeah, there you go. Like, then we got the Grebo, which is supposed to be this evil cat, but Nanny Og does not see or refuses to see the evil in this cat. I play in the Fields of the Grebo. So if the cat had its way, you'd all be burned at the stake, and the nanny would look the other way and wouldn't see a problem because the cat does no wrong. The cat's not evil. Clearly it is. This is put up a Total Citadel. I'm not quite sure if anybody's ever heard of this.
Nope. Most of the things you buy and listen to, I have not heard a lot of this.
This is a pile of the really. I didn't want to open the gatefold because I'm like, oh, you know what? Okay, maybe I'll do this. Because it's your channel. I'm not sure how you're gonna.
We don't care. It's fine.
There you go. Like you have this going on. Again, that was a quick glimpse of some of the craziness that's in this.
I'll do it. I'll be the first. Woo!
Yeah. It's these guys are US black metal. They're out of Atlanta, and it's raw, but it's not Fisher Price recording studio raw. It's raw in an intentional kind of way. They kind of remind me of, like, they get punky in a way, like, that band Satan. They're also another Southern US black metal band. They kind of get punky in that kind of way. It's kind of here and there, in the way. So it's got a lot of personality, it's a lot of attitude in their playing. There's actually really good performance in this. I just wonder, did the band need to go with this gimmick?
That is a fair question.
To pull off, I think their sound is strong enough We didn't need to go through all this. But I just think they're just trying to have some fun. They're not looking to be this mega opus of a name out there. You know, it's a very limited release. So they're you know, again, it's a fun listen. Even if I knew nothing about this, the cover drew me in because I'm like, this looks like some nerd shit, like all day. Like it totally is. But it forced me to look into this grebo. What the hell is a grebo? And you know, it just turned out, and this whole world, I just unlocked this whole world of this fiction and this whole like series I didn't even know existed. You know, which I think it's also, I think it's a British thing. You know, how it ended up here with this black metal band in the US, I have no idea. It's just completely nuts. So it's an obscure band with doing a concept album on a series. I don't know if it's something that's very well known over there. Maybe somebody in the chat can chime in.
Simon knew a little bit about it, but yeah.
He knows about the book series.
Yeah, he said the author was pretty well known.
I've never dove into it or researched it, so I don't know anything about it. I just was forced to, because I'm looking at this thing. I have to know what the hell's going on here.
Yeah, sometimes you just must. Some rabbit holes you must go down.
I didn't get a lot of I didn't get a black metal feel like from the cover. You know, I've listened to it. I knew what it was because, you know, Nuclear War Now obviously described, you know, a little bit about what it was. Nuclear War Now they don't write their own original descriptions. They just kind of copy and paste from whatever other pressings, you know, publications, you know, so I just had to go by that. But yeah, if you see it around, which maybe you won't, maybe you will, I don't know. Like, I don't know how readily available this is, but it's a really fun listen. I mean, if you like Sedan, you know, like bands like that, I think you might like the punky vibes of this, but in a kind of raw black metal kind of form, you know. So it's good stuff. I really did enjoy it. So I definitely will be holding on to this. Not because I showed that gatefold, which it's kind of fun in some way.
Yeah.
Inside. I hope that I didn't get you demonetized.
We're not worried about it.
I'm actually going to copy and paste the name in the chat because it's also not a very easy thing to spell. Obviously,
okay.
Tyler knows all about that if he's watching.
All right. Again, Rick for the obscurity. I love it. Alan.
Indeed. All right, let's see. It's time for a treat. Yeah, this was total blind buy. She was in the used bin, the local store. I bought it for two reasons. It was on Profound Lore, and Profound Lore can be hit or miss with me, but in general, it's like, okay, if it's cheap, I might take a chance on it. Second thing was the cover. I just really liked the cover image of it. There's no band logo or information on it. I just thought it was a cool image, and I really like the color scheme on it. It's got this weird pinkish tone to it. Anybody recognize this one? I have no idea how well known this band is or isn't.
I made a very convincing case for Logan. We were, you know, about our Chicago trip, right? Mm-hmm. So we went to hit up Meteor Gem, and after spending a half a paycheck on records, we went over to Bucket of Blood, which is right down the road from Meteor Gem, and looked for more records. And Logan stumbled upon that one, and he remembered I was talking about it on one of our. Actually, I think you were on that stream, Marty, when we showed our best of the decade or albums of the decade or something like that. It was a little, some weeks back, and that was one of the ones that I showed, and it's got like, it's kind of post metal, black metal kind of leanings. It's very how did I describe it? I feel like it's very otherworldly.
It's a hard one to describe. You're exactly right.
Yeah, I love the female vocals in it. There's a lot of atmosphere. It's almost, it gives me the feeling that what's that band? They got the cello and stuff. They're on Bind Room actually.
Excellences,
yes.
Yeah, that's actually not a half bad place to start. There's the layout inside. But yeah, the band is called Dead to a Dying World, and I think this is their second album. It's called Elegy. Yeah, I just thought it was like a really cool layout and everything. And again, it was used. So it was maybe like $6 or $8. It wasn't very expensive. Like, you know what? I'm just going to take a chance because I like it. And it is pretty cool music. But as Rick said, it's very hard to describe. There's a lot of cello. There are, pretty female vocals. The male vocals they're clean, but a bit, deep baritone. I always want to say that maybe there's like a little bit of Nick Cave in the vocals, but I'm not well versed enough in Nick Cave to know if I'm on track or maybe a little out of bounds. And as Rick said, yeah, there's a black metal element to it, but it's not really dominant. There's a post metal element, but not in like a shoegazy, annoying cold way or anything. So yeah, they really have a relatively unique sound on this album. And when I'm in the mood for it, it really, kind of scratches that itch just fine. I have heard one of their other albums. That one didn't connect with me nearly as much. But this one, Elegy, so I was like, that's a very cool, interesting kind of concept. It just works extremely well. So yeah, if you want something pretty unique, it's a good one to check out. It was one of the first things I thought of for this topic because it's a hard album to pull for most topics because it doesn't fit into a particular genre. It's not all that well known. It just never quite seems to get off the shelf for other show topics. But for this one, oh yeah, that was a blind buy that turned out pretty good.
That cover draws you into it. There's no title or nothing. It's just this photo. And
yeah, I like that they didn't bother with a logo or any print. They just left it blank so that, it didn't mess with the artwork at all. When I first, saw it just flipping through the discs, I thought maybe it was like an Earth album or something. It reminded me a little bit of like the Primitive but Deadly album cover. But then I was like, I don't know what it is, but it's coming home with me.
I can see Dylan putting out something like that. Profound Lore, right? I think that's who put that out.
Yep, it's a Profound Lore release, which, and again, Profound Lore, sometimes there's click with me. Sometimes their stuff is a little too out there for me, but yep, this one did the trick. So Dead to a Dying World, Elegy.
It's kind of post-metal, but a very different take on it. It puts you in, it's very emotive. Kind of,
yes.
That's why I brought up the Excellences kind of comparisons because that band tends to do that to me too.
Yeah, it's not post metal in the sense of like trying to use big washes of guitar to smear out everything. It's not that at all. So it almost Sorry not to have a better description of it, but it's one of those you almost have to just kind of check it out to get a feel for it. But yeah, so that's kind of like Swans. Wade, that's a fair question. I'm not well versed enough in Swans to say if it's similar to any particular era of Swans. Maybe
it's not as experimental as Swans, even though it's got some a lot of etherealness to it. But I'm glad you pulled it. I could have pulled that as a blind buy too. I did blind buy that one also.
Oh, okay.
I'm glad you pulled it.
And Fluffle, I don't know which other album I heard by them. I've only heard it once, so maybe it just didn't connect on first listen. But glad some folks in the chat are familiar and interested in that one. Okay, Marty, what you got next?
Well, in an attempt to explore more new wave of traditional heavy metal, I ended up snagging a copy of this Blood Star with First Sighting. This is on Shadow Kingdom. This is a band that formed in 2017 and took 6 years to put this debut out, which is only 32 minutes long. Takes you 6 years to write 32 minutes of material. This is your standard fare. This is a trick. I tried really hard to like this. I spun it. I think the thing I like the most about this is the cover, to be completely honest.
The cover is probably the best part of that album.
Yeah. And it isn't terrible. It's just very middle of the road, heavy metal, and her vocals are very monotone. She doesn't do much with it. Maybe they're a good bar band. They've got some good things going on with their mustaches here, which if you're a Metal Theologian fan, the mustache is very important. And you got the leopard button-up shirt too. That could also be something. But this is traditional heavy metal with a lady singer who's competent singer, just very monotone. The music is very standard fare, and it's thankfully in this case it's a short listen. Why did I buy this on vinyl? Because blind buys, baby. If you're going all in, you go all in. I'm glad they didn't have 4 other records, or we'd be having a much more embarrassing conversation right now.
I think it's the people behind the Visigoth stuff, right? I think are in that band.
This band is from.
I don't think so on that one.
I don't think so.
I remember reading.
Well, maybe you're right.
That.
Salt Lake City, Utah. So it might be members.
I remember seeing that a little while back.
Yep, ex Visigoth.
Okay.
It would probably appeal to the like the Savage Master crowd, you know.
Jason Palmer is also still in Visigoth, according to Metal Archive. So yeah, and also Unto Others, Death Blow.
Yeah, Rick. You're right, Rick, but they're not as fun as Savage Master. They're also not quite as retro. They're also kind of remind me a little bit of like Sanhedrin, but they're not as retro 70s sounding as Sanhedrin. They fall in a very awkward spot, like Marty said. They're just very plain. They're just kind of a
safe.
stock band.
Very safe. Yeah.
Very safe. They don't have a strong enough sense of identity like some of those other bands. They're not classic metal enough like Lady Beast. They just didn't, and it's not that it's bad. It's just really plain sounding. So it's one I checked out. I think we got a promo for it at one point.
We got such a selection of other bands too to pick from. Like, what would be the selling factor for picking that up? Or
exactly,
like Marty, you sent me that tower, and I love that tower. You know, but you know, if you're looking for something kind of in that kind of direction, there's another one where there's a million options.
Yeah, like Marty was saying, I mean, there's so much in that new wave of traditional heavy metal to check out that you gotta have something to make yourself stand out a little bit. And, you know, sometimes, unfortunately, that leads to all these bands, you know, with masks and gimmicks and costumes. But I get it. They're trying to stand out in an overcrowded field.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, Bloodstar doesn't even have that. They have a cool album cover and 30-some minutes of very okay music.
If I stumbled into a bar and they were playing, then I'd be like, hey, you know, this band's pretty fucking rocking.
I wouldn't walk out on them if they were playing. No,
yeah,
that's not the message here at all.
So they're definitely good, average. But they're just not great.
If they do whatever Castle Rat's doing, if they did, you know, just a little more skin, I'll sell a few more tickets.
And I mean, Castle Rat there's the gimmick thing again. Let's get some masks. Let's get a very you know attractive front lady, you know, and with a good costume and all that, and
or lack of thereof.
It's a costume. I didn't say how come, you know, how covering it was.
Costume. Yeah.
But you know, they you know, do they need all those trappings? Not really, because you know, musically they're pretty good, but they're getting attention because of the trappings, not just because of the music.
Yeah.
Bloodstar, yeah. And you hate to say, because I'm not really interested in the gimmicks for most of these bands. But Bloodstar needed probably something to help them stand out. So you're damned if you do, and you're damned if you don't.
Nick is dropping the secret that I have with my new upcoming project, which I've named Chainmail Bikini.
Oh yeah, that's the Marshall drum machine project you and TJ are working on, right?
Right. Yep. All right, Rick.
All right. You know, okay, so I'm gonna do a bit of a 2-for-1 because it's got the same artist on here, and they're both, I guess you could say, well, I knew about the one band, which is big, but it has a trick. The other one also kind of has a trick. So you guys know there's a name called John Lawton. You guys are familiar with Uriah Heep. And
oh yeah, okay.
He's the guy that replaced David Byron, right?
Yep.
And you know, he had his issues. And so upon diving in, so you were talking about covers that don't sell you on the fantasy that it's supposed to be or whatever, right? So this is one I kind of skipped over. You know, Uriah Heep's Fallen Angel. And this kind of has this nipple alert. I don't know if that's
should name the album Nipple Slip. Well, they should have named that one.
Alan shows a crudely drawn monotone nipple, and he gets some flack from YouTube.
Oh yeah, he's in the hot seat with YouTube right now.
The Mephatist, yeah, that's like the amorphous gray blob of a breast. And,
this was a little more rendered, so you know, might be more in the danger zone. But you got this fantasy thing, Fallen Angel, all this stuff, right? kind of going on. There is no fantasy at all in the themes on this album. Like there's just this is a complete lie.
And they've got the flip-flop album cover all fucked up. What is up with that?
I feel like they were trying really hard with this, using the cover. It's kind of this big selling point. And I feel like the band this time was pretty insecure with where they were going, because they lost David, and here comes John, kind of filling in, and he's, I think, a really good fill-in. For what is he does it for a little bit. But Uriah's been through quite a few vocalists, kind of over the years. I think that's been one of their issues, where they could have been a bigger band than what they became, right? Like they could have been to those heights, but they've had all these setbacks.
They had their moment, but never quite, kind of faded a bit over time.
Which kind of sucks. Like it's not my. I feel like I have to keep doing this.
Don't worry about it.
But they this is one of those bands where I don't love all the albums. This is extremely middle of the road for me. I could kind of take it or leave. It's not, I picked this up, have not heard a note from it, and it's all right for what it, but it sounds very much of its time. I feel like I will pick other albums. I would pick a Abominog over this. Because albums.
Abominog's pretty good.
John's not in that one, but upon looking over, kind of the stuff that he was in, and being that it's Halloween and everything, I thought I kind of introduced this band that I blind bought, and I did not know John was in this thing. And I also went with the wrong album. Like Malevolent Creation, I started with the wrong album.
Oops.
Well, hey, maybe we could help you out some more tonight. Let's see.
I won't rip this one up though. But okay, so this is a band called Lucifer's Friend.
Oh yeah,
and with the Banquet album, and I feel like this band gets overlooked a lot, because when you talk about the beginnings of heavy metal, these guys were there. These guys were, John was there with these guys, and I since went back and checked out those earlier albums. Boy, my disappointment when I started here, kind of going, what the hell happened? These guys, you look at this, it's very pretty. It looks like something out of a gothic scene. You got the Banquet and the Lucifer's Friend, everything else just kind of here. This is pretty much a fusion. This is a fusion album.
Yeah, it looks like a 45 Grave album, but
but it's not. It's
no.
They went from this awesome, heavy, for its time, very heavy hard rock, very, very killer, just killer work. It could be up there. Like I said, it was the beginnings of heavy metal, and John's vocals were like, again, this is after exploring this album and going back in hindsight to the first two Lucifer's Friend album, and then blind buying this, thinking it's going to be, it's expecting something kind of similar to Uriah Heep, because being that John was on it. Not at all. Not at all. It's not a bad album for if you're looking for something that's more in that fusion, kind of territory, but it does not sound anything like the previous albums. There's nothing heavy or hard rock about it. I feel like they were kind of trying something different in what was kind of going on popular at the time. But I would tell everybody, do not start here. This sounds nothing like the stuff in their other catalog. I would say start with their first two albums. You're gonna get something more similar to Sir Lord Baltimore and that kind of stuff. Stuff that's kind of bunchy and heavy for what it was at the time. But it's just more of a trick than a treat.
Dirty trick.
Yeah. It's again, not all the albums sound like this. This is the only one that's pretty much had that really big explorative fusion sound and quite bright. But you're not gonna get a lot of hard rocking moments in this thing.
Yeah,
the cover could have fooled you.
I don't know the Lucifer Friend catalog well, but they're one of those bands that they change their style up annoyingly often, so that it makes it really hard to work on their discography, because you hear something you like and then the next album can be completely different and something you won't like. So yeah,
Check out
tricky.
that first one's awesome though. You
Oh
know,
yeah, no, I've had that one.
it-
Yeah,
it's great.
the original one on Billingsgate.
But
Yeah, sounds really cool.
I
It's
just
kinda
wish I
Coven,
didn't.
too. That old shit like that. It's like it presents as something dark and evil, and you listen to it, it's like, meh.
Like Lorraine.
Yeah,
Yep.
dirty hell
exactly.
bitches. Yeah.
Break your heart, man.
Yeah, I just wish I didn't start here. It kind of led me down the wrong path.
All right, Alan.
All right. This album's been on my show for 20 years. I've never mentioned it on YouTube. I've never shown it on YouTube. I've never seen or heard anybody else mention or show this band on YouTube. But I knew there'd be a time and knew there'd be a topic. This would be that time and that topic. Because I blind bought this. It came out around 2006, and it was getting a little bit of hype on some online forums that catered more to like power metal, progressive metal type stuff. And some people were really big on this album. It's like, that sounds interesting. These guys often have pretty good recommendations, so let's track it down. It wasn't easy to track down. It's on, what bloody label is this? This one says Drakkar, which wasn't easy to get back then. It's a band from Italy called The Dogma, which right away makes you, the title maybe sounds a little too mallcore-ish. The album's called Black Roses. Has a very distinctive cover. Looks like a scene from some kind of 30s noir thing. There's a story being told here, but I'm not really sure what it is. I'm like, she's too pretty to be marrying this bozo-looking guy, and he obviously isn't into it, and she's obviously sad about it. So, yeah, not exactly. The honeymoon's over, and they haven't even started the honeymoon from the look of things. It's not an awful album, but I never could get into it. And again, the way people had sort of, talked this one up, it was supposed to be like early Dream Theater meets the best European power metal you can think of. I'm like, that could be cool. And it's not really either of those things. I mean, it's Italian traditional metal. It has a little bit of a power metal sound. It maybe has some progressive leanings, but it just doesn't really come together and go anywhere. At the end of the day, they're trying to do a few things, and they're not doing any of them spectacularly enough that you feel like you care by the time you get to the end of it. So, yeah, it was one of those, played it a few times, like, this isn't going well. Shelved it, would take it, give it a few months, reset my expectations, try it again. Never have been able to understand what some folks saw in this album when it came out. And, but it stays here. Maybe I'll give it another try one of these days. It's way overdue for a spin or two. I just checked. They made 2 more albums a few years after this. I've never seen or heard anything else about this band. After this album came and went, poof. I had no idea there were more albums. I have no interest in checking out the other albums.
Who put that out? Was it a big label?
The spine here says Drakkar. Is there anything else on the back of it? No, just Drakkar Productions, or Drakkar Records. Which, I mean, they're still around doing other stuff, unless I'm mistaken, right?
There's a Drakkar Productions from France, which does a lot of black metal. So there's a Drakkar Records, apparently. So it's a different...
I wonder if it's... Yeah, I don't know if this is early enough. It would be the same label. It looks like the same kind of font, because I know the French label. Let me see if I can get it to...
Yeah, I think that's a different...
You think this might be a different one?
It's a different Drakkar.
Okay. Huh, interesting.
Maybe I'm wrong. Let me look here.
Well, yeah, hold on. I've got it open on.
What's the name of that band again?
The Dogma, but I've got it open, so let me just go hit the label. So it came out on Drakkar, yeah.
The guy in the cover kind of looks like Nick Cave. I would expect something a little more that dreary direction.
Let's see. This is a German Drakkar record.
It's only released 4 things: Haggard, Old Crew, The Dogma, and The Dying.
Okay, yep.
So it's a different one.
not too much showing up on it. Wait, okay. Looks like they may have licensed some stuff or something. But yeah. Anyway, this ended up being a trick. This is what happens sometimes when you blind buy based on just a couple of people's recommendations. So they okay, sure, we'll give it a chance. Oops. I'll give it one more spin someday, and if I still don't like it, maybe it's time to let that one go.
Yep.
All right, Marty, your turn.
Well, this is a trick, and I honestly can't even remember this. I bought it at a local record store here, and it was cheap. I don't remember how much it was, but I don't know. I thought I saw Alan show this at one point, and I don't remember it being bad. But Wild Dogs, Reign of
that's a good
Terror.
album.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I put it on. It was a little bit more hard rock, maybe than I thought it was going to be. Or am I wrong here? But
it's hard. It's U.S. power metal, but can lean a little hard rock.
yeah, I mean, it was okay, but the double trick here is the record is warped, so the needle skipped on the first couple tracks, which freaking annoying.
Yeah.
Thankfully, I got it for cheap, but yeah, I wish I could go back and say give it another spin, but I just remember being very underwhelmed by it. And then, of course, I was just pissed off because it was skipping. But so Alan, fill us in a little bit better, because like I said, I just remember being like, I'll probably never listen to this record ever again.
Yeah. No, like Simon is saying, they have some earlier stuff, but it's a little more hard rock, a little more. Some of the earlier ones, if I remember right, they were on Shrapnel early on, so leaning into that kind of Shrapnel sound a bit. That one's got a different lineup, different vocalist, and it's a more forceful kind of delivery. So fans of something like Liege Lord's Master Control might dig that Wild
I like
Dogs
that
album.
record. I may have to listen, give it another try. I could have been not in the mood,
It could be. And again, think of it as maybe like a slightly more hard rock version of, Master Control. There's some good stuff on there. Some of it, does have a slight commercial lean to it, but it still isn't in a heavy sense, not in a power ballad, we're wearing mascara and pink tights kind of sense.
Yeah.
But if there's a Wild Dogs album you're going to like, it's going to be Reign of Terror. That is the one to focus on.
Okay.
If you don't like that one, the other ones would be a much harder sell.
Right.
So yeah, I'd say give it one more spin. But yeah, if it's skipping and stuff, that can be irritating too. So might be one to check out on Spotify or YouTube Music or whatever platform that you feel like for the day.
There's a couple devices out on the market for fixing warped records. I know Scott Waters a long time ago did a demo on one where you put the record in this contraption, clamp it down, and put it in the oven and bake it.
Mm-hmm.
He had varying degrees of success. They've got other things out now too, but yeah, I don't have enough warped records to warrant buying one.
I would be so nervous doing that though.
If it's already warped, it's already fucked. So if you screw it up, it's it's not like a major loss. But
I just more worried for the oven.
You got to cook a pizza after all that toxic sludge melting into your Oops, I cooked it too long.
Cleaning an oven's never fun. You guys
that sucks. Ours looks like it needs an archaeological dig. It's so bad.
Gotta get the yellow rubber gloves out and all that. It's a busy Sunday.
My kid throws those fake pizzas in there without a dish, so it just all drips down. It's terrible. Another thing I have to clean. Someone burned a body in there.
Okay. This one here is a little more, I guess, a little more out of left field, just because it's metal, I guess. So Leeway, you guys know, out of Queens, New York, they kind of play this
hardcore band,
hardcore kind of crossover kind of stuff. Anybody who started out with Born to Expire, like, this thing is a classic. It's just
classic.
Great, great thrashy crossover. But I've kind of not really explored their later material. I've heard it's more in that kind of groove metal kind of direction, which makes sense with a lot of bands in the 90s who kind of moved there. So I dove into Adult Crash right here. I think it's '94, I think, and I wasn't expecting Born to Expire, like because of of kind of what was going on in the '90s. But I put it on the turntable, and it's pretty much very much a product of what I've expected for something in that time period. That is something that you guys know. He passed away last year, and it was a great front man. He can be very emotive, and when you think of these New York bands, it kind of reminds me a lot of Keith Caputo. It kind of that emotional inflection that he has with the way he has on stage. If you got any Life of Agony fans, kind of had a lot of that kind of personality kind of going on. This right here, it's almost like you have to switch your brain to a different mode if you're going to enjoy something like this. If you're into groove metal, I don't even call it metal. It's more like alternative metal. There's moments in here that's again very punchy riffing. I love the way to express in this with the way he just comes out with the just he gets get quite creative the way he couldn't back in '89. With those albums was a little more hard hitting. He finds a little more liberty with this one. But I think here is kind of where I stop. Like, after this, he put out what is it, Open Mouth Kiss, and I feel like a lot of the dynamic that was on this album was kind of lost. I think a big part of that was who was the guitarist? They had two guitarists on the previous two. They went to one guitarist here, so they didn't have the aggressiveness that they had on their previous albums. But I'd say maybe check out some later Leeway, and yeah, it's a very different direction. But I feel like after this, you have guys like Mike Patton who kind of do that alternative metal thing really well. You're fans of the Tomahawk and the Phantomas and kind of that stuff. I feel like this is kind of like an early version of that kind of stuff that Mike Patton's doing now. Kind of like, he was already doing Faith No More, during that time period. But it's very much a product of what was going on in the 90s. I like this for its nostalgic sake. It kind of really revisits that time when I was, kind of getting into the Life of Agony, it just the bands who were kind of moving in that kind of Happy Halloween.
Thank you, StreamYard.
Did you download them all pack? I think it was like 9 wallpapers and like 60 stickers. Like, it gave me that notice too.
Yeah. I had to check it out. Of course, it's all cutesy. It's not evil enough.
It's too much pink. Too much pink for my taste. It needs a little more red and green like this. But I don't know. I don't know if this is a band. I don't know if it gets get brought up all that much. People seem to know this band, but I don't hear people talk about it all that much. Where you guys kind of fall with Leeway at all, or if crossover thrash is what's your thing? But
he's not in the band Wade. He was just comparing it to like the wackier Phantom.
Yeah, the alternative metal that was kind of getting popular kind of at the time. Like they were kind of moving that direction. They abandoned the hardcore roots and the and the thrashiness that they had on the those earlier albums. They kind of moved into the more alternative metal, alternative rock, kind of starting with this album. Desperate Measures was the one before this. You can kind of see where they were kind of changing direction. But I didn't check out Desperate Measures before this one, so I kind of went from Born to Expire to this, and it was quite a change. I will compare this to if you were going from like a Carnivore album to like a later Typo album. Like you were gonna go, whoa. This is the same Peter Steele.
Yeah.
If I were to make a comparison like this, it was quite an abrupt change for me. Go from that to this. So, yeah. So I'm glad I checked that out. I do like this one. I'm not so much of a fan of the one that followed this one, and then the band pretty much stopped all activities after this. I'm not sure why, but rest in peace, Eddie. But he was a pretty good front man. I just feel like the band never really got the ground, with the heights they really could have went. I don't know if they didn't have enough label backing or what, but they were from New York. I mean, a lot of stuff was happening in the scene at the time. They definitely had the potential there. I'm not sure why. But
Well, it sounds like they started farting with their sound. It's probably part of the reason.
Yeah, that
Torpedo. You go from, New York hardcore to doing more alternative, wacky stuff. It's like your hardcore fans be like, "What the fuck is going on right now?"
But everybody was kind of, even like Suicidal Tendency was changing their, they were adapting to all kinds of things at the time.
Yeah.
All these older crossover bands. By the time the 90s came.
Oh,
All right, Ellen.
I remember Mucky Pup a little bit. Yeah. Okay, my last treat of the night is this was a complete blind buy. I had never heard of the band, never seen the album, knew nothing about it. I found it in a record store in Toledo, Ohio, and it was a store I didn't get to very often at all. And so it was one of those kind of situations of like, if I want this, I must buy it now because I won't be back here for, I don't know, 6 months or a year. And it was kind of weird too because it was 1996, but they only had it on a cassette tape of all things. I'm like, really? There's no CD? They're like, it was there in the cassettes. They still have a few metal cassettes. I'm like, sure, I'll buy it. What the heck? And it worked out good. It is Necrophobics.
Oh,
The Nocturnal Silence.
classic.
Again, had never heard of the band. Just saw it on the cassette tape. I was there mainly getting like the at the time, let's see, Amorphous' Elegy, had come out fairly recently. That's, I was picking that up. They had that on CD, but they didn't have the Necrophobic on. And I just looking around, I was like, oh, this looks interesting. Cool band name, cool album title, kind of a cool different, design. This thing, but then it's like
Tramp stamp logo.
Every time I see that, I think it is somebody making like a deicide cover with using Microsoft Paint.
Yeah.
And maybe that's what they were doing. But yeah, so I went ahead and picked it up, and it was also sort of a risk because this was like one of my last record buying excursion before I was heading out west to do like 6 straight weeks of geologic work. And, we kind of had to pack light because there were a bunch of us going, just we had like 2 vans and a car, but it was like, a group of 30 people or 20 people or something. So, I mean, you had like, like one bag and a sleeping bag, so I was taking a Walkman, but I could only take like, a small handful of tapes. So I'm like, well, I'll throw this one in. I hope it doesn't suck because it's going to be one of the only things we got to listen to really for the next several weeks. But obviously it worked out pretty good. And yeah, my buddy Matt and I played that tape a lot for those 6 weeks. I only picked up this CD reissue of it pretty recently because when I got rid of my cassette tapes, there was a lot of stuff I just never got around to replacing. And so, yeah, I picked this up and sent him a picture. I was like, remember this? He's like, holy crap. We played that so much, and I don't think I've heard it since then. But I was like, yep. It was cool
It's a
to
great
pick
album.
that back up. Yeah, it really is a very good one. I've never really checked out the rest of the band's catalog. I never avoided it for any reason. I just rarely see their stuff. And I got the sense that they may have become a little bit samey over the years. That may not be fair. It was just kind of like, I don't know if I need to, really deep dive into Necrophobic album after album or not. But yeah, that random blind buying a cassette tape in, the summer of 96 was risky for multiple reasons. Already I was kind of tired of cassette tapes. I never bought them anymore, but that was the only format they had. So I gave it a chance.
The summer of 96. Oh yeah.
Almost. All right,
right,
Marty, what have you got next? And then we should probably do our last round after your show here.
All right. Well, we're going to Australia with this one. This sounded intriguing when I read something about it, so I picked it up. This is Misartham.
Oh yeah.
Basically, it's a comment on there. It's the title of the album is in Morse code right down here. So I don't know, but this is basically, if you like dark space, very similar. This is black metal with techno and trance infused into it. on paper it sounds super icky, like ooh, techno mixed with black metal. No thanks. These guys do it really, really well. It almost feels seamless. It adds a lot of color and interest to this stuff. And if you go and look at their albums on the archives, big space theme, and their music does kind of emit that spacey trance like, kind of like Dark Space. I think Dark Space is a little bit more darker black metal version of this, and maybe a little bit more experimental. This has got moments where it's pretty dancey, but again, it sounds worse than it is. Trust me. This stuff really hits pretty well.
That's
I have
the
like
band that they reinvigorated my taste for that stuff again. Like they like you said, they know what they're doing. Like it's
very well done. And now they're starting to play live, and they got like the LED face masks with all the different designs on their masks and stuff. They're totally leaning into the aesthetic, the space aesthetic. But yeah, this is the Morse code one with the comment on it. Very good. I've got 2 others on vinyl. I've got a million holes in the collection, and reviewed one of their more recent releases here recently, I think this year, that not many of you watched. Just saying, it's up there. Check them out.
It's good. Yeah, all their covers are like that. It's just a simple NASA image of.
There's no logo on the cover, and you're like, what the fuck is this? You flip it around the back, like, oh, Miss Artham record. And check them out on the Bandcamp or on whatever digital format you use. It's good shit. It's good shit if you're into more expansive, atmospheric, in a different way type of black metal.
Yeah, I love that band. I actually found them through I think it was Wyatt X Him. One of his videos was talking about them, and then I dove in. I was just never looked back. I'm like, yeah, this shit rules.
Yep. All right, Rick, last round.
All right, you know what? I'll end on a note of somebody who's kind of deserves a bit of a tribute. Sally Cato passed away a little while ago. What's it, 2020? But she was known as a hard rock singer, and she was in this band, which I think were from Toronto. They ended up being a New York band. They were managed by Gene Simmons for a little while there. Smash Gladys. Social Intercourse. It's their second album. Here they are over here.
Did he produce the album as well?
I don't know if he's credited for that. Gene kind of was all over the place in the 80s.
Yeah.
You know, he was trying to do the whole director, manager kind of deal. And, you know, we have a song called Lick It Into Shape. I feel like Gene had a role in that. It sounds very much like a Kiss song.
Well, there was like the whole Wendy O. Williams, him and Paul Stanley got involved with her. I know Gene was trying to manage her and ended up giving her a song that went on that album that Paul wrote some of the riffs for. And Paul didn't know about it until the song came out, type of situation. So, you know, Gene being Gene, helping out the lady bands.
One of my favorite videos is with Wendy O on stage with Lemmy. It's like for that song Jailbait, and it's just like you think of the few people who could outstage Lemmy. Like Wendy was one of those people, like, you know, but she was naked most of the time. That's not surprising.
Yeah.
No, but Sally had some very aggressive and very in your face kind of pipes. Very cool. She kind of reminds me of a female kind of Blackie Lawless. You know, she had a bit of a rasp to her. It's kind of like they were kind of, this came out in the later 80s. I think this was the last thing they put out before they took that long break. I think there was one compilation released some years later. But I feel like this band was really riding on what was big at the time, and it has to sound very much of what. But I feel like this kind of sound, this bands like Cinderella, you know, kind of we're going for that bluesy hard rock thing, and this pretty much, like, if I were to make a FFO sticker for something like this, it's kind of like take Wasp, maybe a little bit of AC/DC, you know, it's just a little bit of Brian Johnsonisms in this, with some Lita Ford, you know, kind of in a bit of a melting pot. You kind of get Smash Gladys, you know, with this. I don't hear anybody talk about this band. I feel like put out by Elektra too. You think this is something that would have been kind of more known around or whatever, you know. We're not a small label or anything. Cool cool listen though. I really enjoyed this, kind of for what it was. But I feel like this is another band that could have been bigger. They just were not putting out releases all the time, and didn't have. I guess they weren't playing on the radio. I don't remember hearing this on the radio at all. When I was back in the day. So I don't know if it's Gene Simmons' fault or what, or what was happening. But I'm just disappointed because Sally had that personality. You know what I mean? Like she really had that real strong front woman presence. Like Lita Ford got more airplay. But yeah, like I said, if you see this around, it's definitely worth a pickup. Especially if you like your stuff that was kind of more adjacent to that kind of that Wasp. But with a little more of the hard rock leanings. I think there's what's cool. So what's a cool find? Again, I've not heard a note of this band because it just was not played. It's not something I ran into at all. I don't remember seeing this on MTV or anything like that. So kind of disappointing. And the fact that she passed away, I guess we won't get anything, a revival or anything like that. But thought it'd be a cool note to end it on.
Yeah, interesting. I vaguely remember the name, but no, I never heard them either. And
they were not from LA like you expect from a lot of these bands. They were like New York, like it was, so for this sound, you think they'd be like an LA band.
Mm-hmm.
No, they weren't.
Right on. All right, Alan.
All right, I will end on another trick. This band had some quirks going for it. So again, they got a little bit of a push. This came out in 2006. I didn't notice it until now, but yeah, it came out the same year that Dogma CD I showed a couple of rounds ago. And I've always had these two kind of connected in my head as two albums that I should have liked, but just ended up disappointing me. And I didn't notice they came out in the same year. This band was on Metal Blade for their debut album. They had a push. You still see this album around. Metal Blade must have pressed up a lot of these because you can still find this dirt cheap, I feel like. The band was out of Nebraska, which, was billed as like, oh, yeah, crazy, gem in the wilderness thing.
Metal hub of North America.
Yeah, but well, I mean, they kind of tried to play up that, outsiders.
Yeah.
Who would have thought you could find this kind of metal in Nebraska? And I feel like maybe part of the problem was they were pushed a little bit as like America's answer to Dragon Force, because they did play hyper fast speed metal like Dragon Force. The band is called Celador, and the album is called Enter Deception. Not a great logo. I did not like the logo, but the cover's not bad. Kind of blindfolded guy smashing through walls and stuff. And yeah, I mean, I've told you all the important things here. From Nebraska, debut album, Metal Blade, playing extremely high speed power metal. So yeah, I'm very much making Dragon Force was really starting to take off there 2005 2006, and you felt like this was Metal Blade scooping up something that was going to be their answer to Dragon Force. I mean, they can play it at this speed. The performances aren't bad or anything, but excuse me. The first few Dragon Force albums, I don't mind. They're kind of fun. Yes, obviously, it's cheesy and show-offy. I get and accept all of that, and I just still don't mind. On here, it doesn't feel cheesy, and it doesn't feel, I mean, yes, when you're playing that fast, it's always going to be a little show-offy, but it doesn't come off like just a showboat, extravaganza. But somehow the tracks just fail to deliver. And I've never quite put my finger on what's wrong with this one, but it just seems, I don't know if they were maybe rushed through the process because Metal Blade really wanted to snag something that would ride on the Dragon Force coattails. I don't know if they just needed some more time to tighten up. I was waiting for the second album to come out. I was like, maybe this one's just a little underbaked, and next time around they'll really nail it. Well, this came out in 2006, and the second album came out in 2017. There was not much of a follow-up push.
They
I
had
think
10 years.
yeah. I mean, I think there was an EP or something. They ran into lineup issues, but yeah, it was just like, well, they were there. Metal Blade pressed, enough copies of this to still have us tripping over them today in every other, bargain bin distro you find. And then, yeah, it was like 11 years before a second album even got cobbled together. So, yeah, Celador really felt like it should have connected. It really just never connected for me. And it felt like somehow the band had a chance and just, it all fell apart before it ever had a chance to get off the ground.
The problem with that cover is when I see that, I'm thinking like the art director going, okay, give me something like a Timu Walls of Jericho. It kind of has that vibe.
Oh yeah. It definitely harkens to some other classic metal covers. Yeah, it does. And again, I don't think the band name is great. I have no idea what Celador is a reference to. I remember trying to look it up back in the day, and I never got much of anywhere. The logo's not great, but again, it was not on just some small label that had no presence, and the album was definitely distributed and hyped a bit. But somehow where Dragon Force succeeded, Celador could not.
I have a question though. Like, how much of a selling point is Dragon Force? Like, if you were to throw that name at me, I'm like FFO sticker. I'm like, Dragon Force is not a name I would be like, okay, this is going in the pile.
My kid really likes
today,
them.
definitely not. Oh, today it wouldn't be. But again, this was coming out in 2006, right around the same time like Inhuman Rampage and the Guitar Hero thing were hitting. So at the time, trying to connect it to Dragon Force would have made sense in terms of, a hot band that was getting a ton of attention. So I get it there, but you're absolutely right, Rick. Even a few years after that, everybody had enough Dragon Force. Even I got very tired of Dragon Force, by like, the fourth or fifth album. And today, no, that'd be probably a reason to avoid it.
It became a little much, it's kind of like those later Dream Theater albums. I'm like, I'm good. This
thanks, that's okay. I'll run back the first two Dream Theaters. You guys can keep the rest. All right, Marty, got one to wrap this show up with?
Yeah, we'll end on my brief exploration in OSDM and, thinking I got to keep up with Melanie Loves Death Metal. I got to keep up with Simon. They're throwing a bunch of really cool stuff out there. I want to check this stuff out. At the time, the only thing, actual merch that was still available was through Maggot Stomp on their Bandcamp page. So I got a twofer here. I've got Unearnment with Self-Immolation Suite and Celestial Putridity by Inoculation. This is a one-man project, and this is kind of abstract but really brutal, really well recorded death metal. Listen to it once, went on the rack, stayed there on the to listen to later. This Inoculation, really good, a little bit more complicated, tuned up. It's not the low tuned. It kind of gives it more of a thrashy death metal kind of vibe. Again, I don't remember if this is a full band or a one-man project, but this came out in 2020. This came out in 2021. Maggot Stomp, it's a good label. They put out some cool stuff, but this is just, why'd I bought these on vinyl? I just don't. This is stuff I should have bought on CD and just been fine with it sitting on the shelf after a couple listens,
Mm-hmm.
But I got these two records that I've spun once each and then kind of previewed them online today to remind myself. So this isn't really a trick or a treat. It's just, again, in that nebulous zone between both of them where, unfortunately, modern day blind buying, that's where you're going to get that a lot. You're going to get that a lot. And you're going to, thankfully, as we get older, hopefully you have a little bit more expendable income, give or take. So we can weather the storms when you're, 14, 15 years old, getting into this shit, living on limited funds. You had to make those tapes. And even if you hated it, you'd listen to that tape you hated over and over and over again. And then maybe start to like it, like Into the Pandemonium. For me, I bought that tape with the highest hopes I got the last one on the shelf. I was the first one to the C section. I was the whole way back home. I was with my buddy. I'm like, I got the new Celtic Frost, and you
That's
don't.
where the quirkiness becomes like kind of like a comfortable pair of jeans after a while. You just get so used to it and becomes part of the album. But that, like stuff like the modern stuff, like the Inoculation. I remember I picked that up at one point. That and like stuff like Warflurch, these kind of bands,
Warflurch had some like psychedelic interest. They're doing something a bit different with the sound.
Yeah.
All this shit is really freaking the thing that's annoying, and keep beating a dead horse here, that it's all really good. It's just so
there's
it's not
so much
bad,
of it
it's
and
not
it's so
great.
similar.
Yeah, so similar, and it's not great, it's not bad, it's good. And
Actually,
go ahead.
Since you showed that, I'll show one more thing.
Okay.
Here's one I'll pull. I wasn't sure if I was supposed to show it or not tonight, but it's a band I feel like it's kind of overlooked. And this is one of those like pre-Hispanic kind of if you know that band Zambatli, which is very Aztecian. You can't pronounce anything they say because
that was on $20 Spin or whatever.
Yeah. And they're a little more on the doomier death doom kind of side. These guys are more like they're more straightforward death metal. Zipe Totec, XIPE TOTEC. They're out of Mexico. They're an actual Mexican band, and they kind of course all the song titles are like unpronounceable. Just again, it's got that whole. But although the lyric sheet's all in Spanish, so I'm halfway there because I do know Spanish. I don't know Aztecian. So there's that with 2-point font. So good luck reading that. But no, but this is they're already like 5 albums in by the time this thing came out. Mm-hmm. And this is man, nobody ever talks about this band because
never even heard of it. Again, half the shit you've shown tonight I've never heard of. So it's like,
I've heard of them, but I've never
pretty good. I'll put it in the comments. But yeah, like this is kind of like if you guys know that band Impresa, like they're out of France. They're known as like the flamenco death metal band. They put out an album this year. It's actually not bad. If you guys know Impresa, they're kind of the different take on death metal. These guys don't do flamenco, but the brutal death metal side of it, what Impresa does, it's kind of take what they do there and they kind of have that here. It's a thicker production. I feel like the guitar tone, it's pretty fitting for something like grindcore or gore grind. But apart from that, there's actually some really cool lead. There's really good lead guitar on this. It's lead guitar, very melodic. The stuff you like about Bolt Thrower and these kind of bands. Like that's why I feel like this is one of those bands that you shouldn't overlook because there's some really good songs on here. There's really good guitar work and stuff. But they do stick to that whole Mexican kind of Aztecian kind of deal. The cover may not be the big selling point on this. It's a little bit on the cartoonish side.
Kind of like it.
But it's not bad at all. This was a blind buy. I knew nothing about this band. And this is one of those bands where you learn about them and you're ready to find out they're already like 4 or 5 albums in. You're like, man, where the hell were these guys the whole time?
Yep.
They weren't released on here's the CD. They weren't released on a gigantic label or nothing like that. I feel like this is one of those things where like it's a decent listen. You can find it next to nothing, on eBay or whatever, or at your local record store because nobody's looking for this. This one was put out by Diabolus. I don't know who they are, but they it's not a big label or nothing like that. But man, just like stuff like this all the time that I think make kind of taking a gamble on blind buying kind of worth it. This one was more of a treat for me.
Good deal.
It's brutal death metal, but but don't think eternal bleeding. Like it's not towards that side. I would say it's more akin to like something a little more on the kind of the early Cryptopsy side, with a little, it's just with little deicide. But again, with modern bands like Impresa, but I think it's supplemented with strong, very melodic leads, not Carcass Heartwork, kind of melodic, but they could go there if they wanted to. I haven't checked out all their albums, but it's not bad, for what it is. I'll put the
Sweet.
name in the chat.
Well, there you have it. Blind buys, trick or treat, the Halloween edition. Rick's the man. He always brings the obscure stuff, and we love having him as part of the family here. And what you got going on here tomorrow? Remind these fine folks what you got happening tomorrow night.
Well, tomorrow night, as you guys know, I do like a Halloween thing every year. Usually it's pre-recorded because Halloween doesn't always land on a Saturday. and today, and of course it doesn't. Happy Halloween, everybody, by the way. And so instead we're moving it to tomorrow. It'll be the 1st of November, of course, but it's still the weekend. But it's going to be like a slash Day of the Dead kind of deal. It kind of goes kind of hand in hand. But we're gonna have a few people coming on board. A few new faces you may not recognize on our usual live streams are expected to pop in, and we're just going to show kind of just Halloween related things, like spooks and kooks and whatever. So I got a couple cool good polls ready to go, and I let it kind of the people hopping on kind of what this is about, and kind of curious to see what they do. I already made a trailer for it. I do have some guitar shenanigans going on there, so get ready to cringe.
Ingve Contreras.
It's coming. So, but it's a parody. You know how much I like my parodies. So they're in the usual dreadful manner.
Yep.
So yeah, it should be a fun night. And I thought it should be important to note, I will not vanish on you guys in the stream. No THC will be consumed tomorrow. So that should be I guess a positive thing.
I think you ruined Jeff's world when you bowed out on that stream last week.
I didn't. Yeah, I couldn't stop hearing about it. Like I told them, don't worry, dude. I'm still gonna get him.
Even said in the chat here, he's like, do me a favor, make sure he doesn't take anything tonight.
No THC will be consumed this weekend. I'll be vivid and my regular hosting mode. So hop on to the channel tomorrow night. It'll be I plan on starting around 8 p.m. a little earlier because there's just a couple of things I kind of want to go over. I usually start at 9, but I don't expect people to start rolling into around 9ish, something like that. But everybody's welcome to come hang out. It should be a fun Halloween kind of deal. All the trick or treaters should be done tonight, so you should be clear for tomorrow.
Right on. Well, thanks again for joining us, Rick. Alan,
fun.
Let's talk metal. What do you got going on?
Well, let's see. For Tuesday, we'll be taking I dug up. I actually kind of forgot about this, but for 20 years, I've been keeping a list of all the records I got rid of, traded, sold, VCOT'd, whatever. But I kind of forgot. I do it automatically whenever you get rid of something. It's like cross it off the list. Just copy and paste it over onto this list. But I haven't looked at that list in 20 years, so I actually don't remember what's on it. So we're going to start looking through that list.
Are they in chronological order? So you can show the first one you documented 20 years ago?
No, they're alphabetical. What kind of monster do you think I am?
I'm surprised there's not a date section on there too, where you can just snap to the date. Anyway,
I have dates on when I purchase things, but not on when I get rid of things. So,
see, I wasn't far off the mark.
Nobody's perfect. But
Right
big thanks to everybody in the chat for hanging out tonight. Hope everyone's enjoyed their Halloween and has a good weekend.
I have one question though. So being the theme for the night being blind buys, like, do you feel like it's blind buys a thing that should still kind of be kind of a manner of buying in today's kind of climate? It's just, or did online just steal the fun out of it? Being able to just know about these bands. I kind of know where. I'm curious about where you guys kind of lean on this.
I mean, you can still do it, and it can be fun. But for me personally, I would rather check something out at least a little bit ahead of time to feel like my money's going in the right direction. Yeah, that while it is really fun to land something cool and completely unknown and have it work out, I have been burned enough times, as I have shown ample evidence of here tonight. I just don't want to be spending my money on records I'm not going to enjoy. And even, as Marty's mentioned a few times tonight, records that may technically be okay, but I play them once or twice. I shelve them and I forget they even exist. I want to just put my money towards things that me and my family are going to enjoy more than one or two so-so spins. So yeah, I don't think, it didn't, again, if the online culture didn't ruin it for me, but it made it unnecessary to blind buy. And so I don't often do it anymore. That would be my final word on it. But I think Marty's got a pretty different take.
Your take is the right way. Your take is the right take. And I wish I could adhere more to that. I like the internet factor for buying stuff. I love, because I grew up in a place where, once the Camelot Music moved away and Full Moon Records closed, and the record store we have here is not a metal friendly store. It isn't. Everything is super priced, high priced. There's no metal section. Anything that comes in, it comes in used, or it's weird shit they buy. So the internet is very handy in buying, which I love, but no, I should invest. I mean, obviously I showed a lot of meh stuff tonight. It's, I wish I could train myself to view a little bit, check it out a little bit more, but I still want that fun. I want the fun of the thrill of the hunt. Ooh, is this going to be a good one? I love that feeling when you do hit pay dirt. This rules. This is great. I love that. And there's no replacing that. It's never going to be as impactful as it was when I was, 16 or 17, but still.
There's a human element with the element of mystery. I think that we all enjoy. It doesn't have to be records. It's just anything really. Plus it's just more record relevance to what we're talking about. Like when I'm at a record store and I'm just browsing around and I have a little bit of disposable income, which is not a common phrase nowadays, but when you do, and you're perusing for some records, like you're hoping you get that dopamine hit, when you do land on that something and it turns out to be a really good purchase, you feel like you're more savvy than you really are. You just want to convince yourself that you made a good decision, even though it easily could have been just a bad one.
Yeah. But Rick, there could be anything in that box. It could even be a boat.
Yeah.
Yes. I'm still waiting on that boat. Yeah, never mind.
Yeah. Good deal. Well, let's see. And then show notes for next week, Marty?
Monday, there will be a review up from Jimmy for the new, how do you say this? Oromet. The album is called The Sinking Isle, and it came out on Hypaethral Records, Transylvanian Recordings. Mm-hmm. So that looks pretty interesting. The Wednesday Album Club is for the album Sirius, Aeons of something, Magic maybe. Came out on Nocturnal Art Productions, which was Samoth from Emperor's label back in the late 90s. So we'll be checking out some atmospheric, symphonic black metal from Spain or Portugal. I don't remember where they're from. So yeah. And then next Friday, do we have a guest next Friday?
We do. Next Friday night on that evening. Oh, what can I say, Marty? Except for I should have worked better if I could have get my Charizard hoodie on. But for all those who are about to rock, Melanie loves death metal, Marty and myself, we will salute you with the AC/DC discography deep dive.
I've got a lot of AC/DC to start listening to next week.
And you know what to say, Marty? It's a long way to the top if you want to stream live.
It's pretty easy, though. There isn't much, this is their reggae album.
Yeah, not a lot of 75-minute double concept albums you got to work through.
Yeah, it'll be fine.
But no, it should have a really fun time.
Speaking of AC/DC, there is a fun fact about Hell's Bells. Do you know when that was released as a single? October 31st, 1980.
Ah, there you go.
There you go.
I'll just throw that out there. If you're doing that next week.
Right on. Cool. All right, Simon, we know your thoughts quite exclusively, quite intimately about AC/DC.
See, Simon, if you participate, you'll get your nationally required AC/DC quota taken care of for at least the next 7 months.
It's a long way to the top. They don't play that anymore, right? Ever since Bond passed, right? There's one song. That's one of the songs they didn't want to play live, right? I've read that somewhere.
Really? Huh.
I don't know.
I've read that somewhere. I'm not sure why, but yeah.
Not sure. But anyway, yep, we will have fun with Melanie doing that next week.
Right on, everybody. Go check out the
Yeah.
Dreadful Minutes. Go check out Let's Talk Metal. And do me a favor. Go watch last Friday's episode on Voivod. We had a nice conversation with Jeff Wagner.
Mhm.
Link, in fact, today is in the description to go pre-order his book. He put about 5 years into that sucker, and it's awesome. It's a great book. So go check it out. Watch the show. And yeah, see you next week. Happy Halloween. Cheers.